And welcome to day two. Welcome to day two. So as we start this morning, question on the table to get us started this morning is some of you, the franchise owners that are on the call here, had an opportunity to meet with the ops coaches and work through some specific parts of the sales system. Some of you went on actual customer appointments yesterday evening. Some of you met with your franchise owner or maybe one of the other design associates in the office and had an opportunity to do some practice. Some of you didn't get an opportunity to do any of that, and maybe you went home and practiced with your dog or in the mirror or your cat. I find that dogs will listen, cats won't, so that's just something to keep in mind. But I just want to find out from you based on, I'm more interested in what you did yesterday evening, although if yesterday evening was pretty sparse for you or you didn't get much out of yesterday evening, I'm happy for you to answer for yesterday during the day. But based on based on the efforts that you did yesterday evening, what sort of came to light that this is something that I need to work on? Right, and it doesn't mean it's broken. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just this is an area that I recognize that I could get better here if I did X, Y, or Z. So that's what I'm looking for is based on the work that you did yesterday evening or during the day yesterday, what is something that you see, you know what, I really need to focus here and I need to strengthen this part of my presentation. And let's see, Aaron, I'll start with you.
I would say probably the close, just making sure that it flows easy. It's more of a conversation than a wait, what do I say now? Or I got to think about it for a second. That would be my
okay.
Because I think I feel pretty good as far as closing the doors as we go through for the company story and product demo and all that. It's just that the close, getting everything tightened up a little better.
Nice. Okay. Spencer.
I think like a part that I have to work on is probably dealing with objections, like where to go after that. Just trying to keep that flow kind of consistent and smooth.
And when you're talking about objections, are you talking about objection?
No, I guess not objections, but like when it comes down to like the pricing towards the end, like just like trying to like the poo-poo part. Just trying to
Okay.
bridging that gap and bringing it back.
So you're thinking objections that you get in the close, not objections at the beginning.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let's see, Alana, how about for you?
Hi, Arlen. I think I'm super comfortable with product presentation. It's still the measuring and being speedy. Last night I went on a call with Mark and it was a whole house measure. He measured everything and he goes, you go talk to the person about product. And he's like, you're so good and so comfortable with that. So after that, I did talk about payment options and things like that. But I think, like Spencer said, it's the transition and everything at when you do get an objection. Last night, we didn't get much of an objection, more if we just want to think about it, but we love you guys kind of thing. But it's still the paperwork part and the measuring part for me.
Okay. All right, good. Lisa.
Well, last night we practiced with Jackie and that was very good. I find that just working on the flow, and then like Spencer too, just overcoming those objections. I find that when there's an objection, I like how you presented some of these bridges to just kind of get him to talk more about price or what the real objection really is. So I think that's going to be very helpful.
Good. Let's see, Dave Lee.
There we go. Yeah, kind of along the same lines. It's one heck of a process, and I've got my how can you see these? Got my index cards ready to go. So yeah, just becoming more familiar with each slide, getting the key points that I can use for different customers and just a different feel for what they're listening to. Is one of those things where you got to be done talking when they're done listening, and kind of reading that as that process goes along. So yeah,
Okay.
just smoothing that out.
Okay. All right, Sherry, how about with you?
Um, Two things. One was the company story. I remembered, of course, everything afterward. And I know, I should have said that, but I was trying to like employ some of the new things we learned, like, employ like price conditioning. So maybe mention, when I got that slide about how, our installers are more highly skilled, experienced, so we pay them a little bit more. But in doing that, I kind of skip over some things in other slides that I didn't mention. And then my second part is the measuring. I was off on one wall and it kind of threw my whole thing off. It was a hard surface, so those are things I need to work on.
Okay. All right, good. Jake.
I think for me, kind of the transition between going from the warm up into the measure, the price. So just I think the transition from you're making friends, you're getting to know the person, and then transitioning into the actual flooring, getting that separation there. So
Okay. All right. Beto.
Good morning, everyone. I think I need to continue to work on my company story presentation, knowing the key points of the slides so I can bring those up whenever it's needed. And also, I really want to make it my own. And I'm kind of working towards my timing as well, so I don't extend too much. And also, I need to work on the tablet. I got the measuring. I think I got that part, but I still a little bit slow when I have to revise all the numbers because I'm afraid that I'm going to miss anything. So I'm taking a little bit more time than I should, but I'll work on it.
Okay. Good. Let's see. How about Raul and Olivia?
Yeah, I think from the afternoon session thing that I feel like I need to work on the most is I have a fairly good understanding of the slides and what they're supposed to represent, is making it feel more human and not like read from a script. So I just got to work on making it smooth and really more natural sounding.
Mine's along the same lines, is figuring out a way to make it more conversational and, kind of including the customer in the dialogue and making it more of a dialogue instead of just, spewing facts.
Nice. Nice. Good. Cody.
Hey, Arlen, how are you?
Good stuff. Good
I
stuff.
would say for me, it's probably just kind of like Spencer said, it's working on some of those hidden objections that you get at the end. Like the objections they give you early on are not the same ones that you're hearing at the end of the process. So just kind of working through those and like he said, kind of bridging that gap and then working through like the walk of life and kind of that flow chart you kind of talked about yesterday. And like, okay, they say this, where am I going to next? And yeah, pretty much that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Okay. Jennifer.
Good morning. For me, it's when I go back in after I've chosen product, how to make it seamless and smooth and go into the company story. I don't know, I get stuck right in there.
So coming back from the van.
Yes.
Into the company story, right?
Right. How to make it smooth and not feel so disconnected.
Nice. Okay, good. Good. Sawyer.
Yeah, I would say one thing I need to work on is keeping the whole process smooth for me from start to finish. I don't want it to be choppy, anything like that. I just want it to be nice, smooth ride. That's the thing I need to work on.
And I'm curious, Sawyer, how you're still Tegan's still in that office, right?
Yes.
And how often does Tegan hold practice sessions for you guys?
Oh, for every week for us.
Yeah. So this is something for everybody to kind of pay attention to here, right? So you can remember Sawyer Valentine's name. Easy enough. Tom Sawyer or Valentine's Day, whichever one you want to focus in on, right? So you've got Sawyer Valentine there. And Sawyer is going to be really, really good. And part of the reason that he's going to be really, really good is that once a week, their office sets time aside to actually practice the sales system. They sit down at a table, they role play, and they practice. So just like you would, if you were a national level, professional level basketball player, you're still going to practice free throws. If you're a Super Bowl quarterback, you're still going to practice your craft. Professional sports teams don't just show up at a game. Professional musicians don't just show up at the concert. They practice. They perfect what they're doing, right? And so that's one of the things that's really, really, and I'm sure others do too, but I know Tegan and I know that they're very, very diligent in that office about sitting down once a week and actually practicing. And that's where you get better. You don't get better by, I'm going to try this different at the next customer. You don't really move the needle there. Where you move the needle is where you have an opportunity to sit across from somebody and say, listen to me do this and give me feedback. And let's work through this and make it that much stronger. So anyway, you keep Sawyer's name in mind, and Sawyer, don't make me a liar.
I got Charlie. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's see. Steve Randolph.
I would say just keeping the conversation natural and not making it so scripted, keeping the dialogue such that the rest of the steps kind of seem like the warm up, just like more of like a conversation, so that it's not scripted, and then obviously continue to practice step 8 over and over. Nice.
Let's see. So Kay, you snuck in under Raul's name.
Yes, I did.
Anything that you would add to what Raul and Olivia have already said?
Well, I think I kind of get gummed up on that installation video. It seems to me like early on, I have a lot of information to say about the installation, and it seems to go the video seems to go really fast at that point. And then I kind of run out of things to say, and it's it's a lot of the pictures, and I kind of feel like I've got to figure out how to fill that space better and not have those awkward silences in the last half of the video. So
got it.
And really just working on those transitions, especially between coming back in, sitting down with the customer, and transition into the company story and what I do, and then that transition out of that again. So transitions are sticky for me.
Good stuff. Good. I mean, not that it's not good that it's sticky, but it's good that you identify it, and now we know this is something we can work on. Perfect. Adam Alexander.
Hey, Arlen. Yeah, I'd just like to continue to put the reps in with the walk of life and just get 100% confident with that.
Okay, good. Let's see. Is Brigitte's on here? Where'd she go?
Yep, I'm here.
So out of yesterday's work, whether it be yesterday evening or yesterday during the day, where do you feel like this is something that I still need to work on?
Definitely, it's the measuring, and it's the like if I put in a wrong measurement on the tablet, then how do I know how to undo a wall, but once the shape's already closed and then I realize that one of the measurements is wrong, then how do I fix that without deleting the whole room? I guess it's just the technical part.
Okay, good. All right. Let's see, Janie.
For me, the thing that I think is the trickiest is making sure that I've got some things in my back pocket if the conversation goes a little differently than I would expect. So for example, when I was practicing in the evening yesterday, afternoon for Pacific time, during the warm up, and I'm asking the questions of, what made you decide to do it today? And then not quite getting an objection. And then my brain was like, wait, so what's the next thing I'm supposed to ask? Like, I need to have a few more things in my back pocket, because in that moment I froze and couldn't have told you anything, So just having a few more things to pull from, I think, that work for me and sound normal.
Good, good. Let's see, Chad.
Good morning. Just following suit with everybody else. I think just the flow, keeping everything smooth. I think I could probably do a better job of being observant in the customer's home, topics to talk about, like, making that small talk, sports teams, hobbies, vacations, things like that. I think I do an okay job, but I think I can do better.
Okay, all right. Julie?
Good morning. Along with what everybody else has said, I agree with all of that. And also, for me, the company story, I find I do it more as a presentation versus a conversation. So I'm trying to transition into that more smoothly.
Okay. Let's see, how about Jenny?
Hey, good morning. So I'm struggling a little bit with measuring, not so much the simple rooms, but when you have to draw a room and close the shape, I can draw in 3D. I don't know why I can't do this on the tablet, so it's a little bit frustrating. And then next, just building the quote. Learning what I need to manipulate. I don't want to present the quote that's not correct. So there's a lot of little things to manipulate, and to do that all very quickly and come up with 3 and get through the meeting, and just getting quicker at the whole meeting, I guess, to get through everything we need to get through.
Good, good. Let's see, how about Axel?
Good morning, everybody. Well, 2 things I picked up from the meeting I had yesterday evening. One of them being word economy. I was taking about 9 minutes to cover the steps that I was supposed to cover in 5 minutes. That is the one thing that I picked up from yesterday. Now, the other thing is shifting from making it about me and instead making it about the customer. When I think that it is about the customer and helping him or her find the right floors, then I just, ease down on the importance of all and every step. I mean, I do understand that all these steps are important, but the customer doesn't know that. And when I focus on thinking about the customer rather than myself, things run a bit smoother.
Good, good. Let's see, how about Josefina?
For me, it's, with the tablet to pick, to make, when I choose the product and, I need to do the proposals to choose the right thing. And I think that's my main concern about, and the payment options too.
Okay. Tablet and payment options, just writing that down. Okay, good. Jeffrey.
Good morning. My problem yesterday was going to an install only job and then trying to do the customer story, and then you stumble through, and then you talk about, because they already bought the tile, so you're talking about manufacturer direct and stuff like that. So I need to make a better polished story for an install only job versus what we do normally day to day.
Okay. Yep. And really, it's not that different, right? Because at the end of the day, what are they buying from us? They're buying from us the service of getting their project done. I mean, we don't manufacture any of these products. The products are all made by some other company. Yeah, you might sell it to them, but it's not like we're manufacturing this stuff. So what are you ultimately selling them? Ultimately, you're selling them the process. You're selling them that they're going to go through a seamless process of getting their project done. And so that's really, that's where over the years I've sort of backed away from heavy fab use. Yes, fab is really good to be able to show customer this is how our product might be different than somebody else's product. But the reality is that they can find, if they search hard enough, they can find the same product somewhere else. none of these are, the names are exclusive to us, but the product's not exclusive to us. So if you think about it, what are you really presenting to the customer? You're really presenting to the customer an experience, a buying experience and a project experience that's going to be second to none. So you can do that with an install only. You can do that with a material only. Obviously, you can do it if you do everything. So good. But it is good to think through that ahead of time. Let's see. How about for Paul?
Yes, hi, Carolyn. So for me, I think it's the 3 Ps: practice, 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 to make it smoother and not trying to remember what is the next step in front of me. I think that will, that will all even out and just be into the doing part rather than the trying to remember and have it be a little clunky during the transitions.
Good, good. And now Paul Beaudry, since I've got 2 Pauls here.
I was fortunate enough to go on an actual appointment yesterday with a customer and got lucky and sold it or landed it. But
That's
my
not
biggest,
luck. That's not luck.
well, I have to say there was a little bit of luck there because the 2 things that I'm lacking on is product knowledge. I never touched this particular product. So Eric jumped right in and said, hey, I apologize. Paul doesn't know this product. I'm going to do the product, but he can do everything else. And then the company story, I think my biggest problem is having Eric standing behind me. I don't like being judged and I'm not an actor. So I felt like I was acting for Eric, yet couldn't be myself in front of the customer, which Eric knows that about me anyway. I have a hard time being an actor. But company story is my biggest thing. And then I got to practice more on product.
Nice, nice. Let's see. How about Vince?
For me, I think I need to kind of improve on that inspection video piece. Half the problem is that I'm just not sure that I know exactly what I'm going to be finding, if I'm going to be able to identify it, and if I'm going to be able to relay that to the customer.
Okay, all right. And where do you normally find out what the customer is, what's wrong with the floor?
Well, you'll be going through the home, definitely doing that during the inspection, but it's just one of the things I think I just need to get more comfortable with is as far as kind of identifying, like you mentioned in the video yesterday, the pet urine, things of that nature, making sure I know exactly what that is that I'm seeing.
Nice, nice, good. Keith.
So I think for me, it was, the company story. I think it's powerful, but the transitions were clunky and not smooth. It didn't own it. So repetition, repetition, and practicing the transition from one slide to the next and having that down.
Okay. All right. Let's see, Billy.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be kind of like Paul was saying, practice, 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 just a repetition of going through it and having the time management, like you were saying, to set that specific time for practice.
Nice. April.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I didn't have an appointment, so we did a role play and it was so awkward. I definitely am a PowerPoint going through the company story and definitely would like to get more comfortable with that. And actually many of what everybody said, also still having issues with drawing on the tablet. And then it's very frustrating to have your franchise manager behind you in the house going, do this, do that. And so, yeah, I would definitely like to get more comfortable so I can move on from that.
Nice. Will.
I think my biggest thing as of now is I know that there's like a list of basically steps I need to get through, but I make it sound too robotic, and I need to just loosen up kind of, and because I know what it is that I need to get out, but I just need to in a more smooth and conversational way instead of just sales pitching them and giving them bullet points.
Good, good, good. Greg, how about for you? How did it go yesterday evening, and what did you take away as something that you feel like you need to work on?
It went well. In the breakout session, we did the company story, and that's really what I worked on. And I realized how awkward I was when I did it in front of the people last night's session. So I practiced on what Joe recommended, just be more conversational, kind of get the client involved as well, talk about yourself a little bit, and knowing really, you're right, memorizing the whole order of the slides and knowing what's coming next, and just being able to segue into that next slide before you get there is great. Not even having to look at it sometimes as it's kind of facing the customer.
Yeah, yeah. I ran an appointment one afternoon where it was interesting. One of the people from corporate had driven over to Columbia, and they met me at this appointment. And talk about feeling nervous, right? Here was one of the coaches from corporate that had driven over. And so I've got that person standing over me as I'm going through this presentation. And I took my tablet. We sat down at the dining room table, and I took my tablet, and Albert was right beside me, and the customer was across the table from me. And I set the tablet up, and I never once looked at the face of the tablet. I would simply swipe and go to the next screen and present, and swipe and go to the next screen and present, and swipe and go to the next screen. And the customer was, you know, we sold the job. The customer was impressed with everything. When I left, Albert, who is the corporate guy that had shown up, he's like, I've never seen anybody be able to do the company story and never look at the face of the tablet. I mean, I was looking at the back of the tablet the whole time and swipe. He said, most people will at least look at the screen to make sure that it advanced. I said, well, the china cabinet had a mirror in it. I could see what slide it was on. Right? But
well, I won't play cards with you, Arlen. No cards with you.
It looked good. All right, let's see. Dan Lyman.
Yeah, I think this is going to sound repetitive. I completely agree with what a lot of folks have said. I mean, it was ugly last night, to be candid, for me. And, you know, I've done thousands of sales presentations, but like you were just saying, Arlen, I've always either had the slides in front of me or they're on the screen where I can see them. And trying to hold the tablet where it just is awkward trying to go through that if you haven't memorized it. And so, yeah, for me, it's just, it's making it natural, making it myself, and not having that awkward pause after the video. No matter how many times I do it, when the video's done, I think I'm done. I feel like it's okay, we finished, and now I'm going to get into the product. And then I'm like, oh shoot, there's 3 or 4 more slides. So I just have to get comfortable with that.
Good. All right, now the other Dan Atkins.
Yesterday afternoon, I have to say, even though I've had a career in sales, I was really impressed. I'd read through the Bridge of Life content, but having you explain it and making my own notes, I realized that there's a lot to learn there, but also a tremendous amount to benefit from. Working with Jackie last night, I need to work on my brevity, and that's going to surprise no one who's in our training class. But I didn't feel like my tablet presentation went as long as it was. It felt good to me. I was having fun with it. But then even Keith, who's like the nicest guy on the planet, it's like, Dan, you went 10 minutes. It was too long. So I have to work with the timer. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to work with the timer, work on brevity.
Nice.
But it was fun. Work with Jackie. It's a
Nice.
lot of fun.
Nice. Let's see. So Jackie must have been in a good mood. That's good. Because a lot of times people get on and say, oh crap, I have to work with Jackie again. And yes, you can tell her I said that. Tom.
I think what was great about last night, I joined the company at the end of December. He had a DA that lasted about 6 weeks and quit, couldn't handle it. And so we had a really good open discussion last night about when he believes I'm going to be ready for him to cut me loose. So I'm doing all the pre-calls for the company right now, setup calls, and they're all going great. Just happy with that. I've been over 50 ride-alongs. He has total confidence in my ability to measure rooms because he does it, and then we compare, we get to the vans, they're all the same now. He has me build a proposal without any input from him, so I'm not leaving things out. Sometimes I'm adding a few things and we disagree whether it should be in there. But I made my pitch last night that for him to help my development, he's got to let go. It's like a new mom who's turning over a 1-year-old baby to a babysitter. Could be your sister, but they still freak out. And so he's looking at every lead as money he could lose versus money he could win. And he was great. He just said, I got it. I said, so on the next call, I'm not going to introduce you as our owner because they know you're the owner. They look at you and they only want to talk to you. So from now on, I'm just going to introduce you as the gentleman's here to support my sales training, coming out of the back end of it. Because what we're doing is I'm doing the company story. He feels like I'm getting much better at that, but I never get a chance to close the deal. Because after the company story, I've been turning over the product presentation and the rest of the process to Mike. I said, that kind of stopped. I'm not going to get better until I get those reps in. And I said, so the way you set up my training has been great. So what came out of it was really cathartic. So he said, starting from now on, you're going to do the setup call, you're going to do the product presentation. And if I need to jump in, I'm not going to do it directly to the customer. I'll turn to you and say, hey, Tom, one of the things you may want to discuss is, and he's all for that because he's frankly freaking overwhelmed trying to do everything himself. So it was really a great evening. I think this training, I had to say, I've worked for some major corporations. This is really good street level training. And even though I've done it a lot, I'm just trying to follow the script, man. I'm plagiarizing. It got me through college.
That's it. Copy it. One of the things that I used to do with my DAs, and if you're comfortable with this, and if Mike is comfortable with this, when I got to a point with a DA where I wanted them to run it, I'm not going to introduce myself as a franchise owner, and I would have my DA do the introductions, and they would introduce me as Arlen's going to handle the production side of things, and he just wanted to ride with me today.
I like that.
So that takes, it's almost, so at that point, it's like, if there was a technical question that the DA wanted to ask me, well, that seems to fit because I'm going to do the production. I should know the technical stuff, right? But when it came to the sales stuff, 100% that's in his court.
Yep. And I think that's a great idea. But what came out of it was, I said, April 1st has to be the date you throw me in the pool. Because they said, Mike, one of the things I've been helping you with is to learn to close. I said, you're an engineer. I'm a salesperson of 42 years. So he was absolutely supportive. Couldn't have been better about it. He said, great, I need you to take charge of your own development. You just did that. So just wanted to share.
Nice. Let's see, Nick Green. For you, same question. What do you feel like after what we did yesterday, or after what you did yesterday evening, where do you feel like your main development still needs to come from?
So really learning the company story. And I was lucky enough to actually go on a bid after class yesterday, after my tablet died. And just really learning the products and having the confidence to talk about those products in front of the homeowners to direct them in the right way. So.
Good. Let's see. Brett.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of what others have been saying, but for me, the transition from having the install video in the middle of the company story is kind of awkward, right? Because I felt like I was like talking over the video and then it got done. And so that transition between that and the choice pricing slides, competitor choice and pricing slides right after was probably the most awkward for me.
Nice. Okay. Good. Something very concrete to work on and very easy to deal with. Yep. Did I miss anyone? Anybody slipped in through the waiting room that I never saw come in? I think so. I think I've got everybody. All right, good. So I'm going to transition over to our whiteboard. From a schedule perspective, it's going to look very similar to what it did yesterday. And let's get over here. Right. So this should look very familiar, right? So here we go. We speed through this. Let me add. Okay, so in a very, very quick way, 30 seconds or less, here we go. A customer comes in through the website, through HomeAdvisor, through some method, and we do a setup call with them. We get to the house and we do a quick warm-up. That warm-up might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, who knows, right? But we're gonna warm up with the customer and just get to know them. We're gonna transition from step 1 to step 2 by asking the transition questions. How long have you been thinking about replacing your floor? What made you decide to do it today? Now that I've got that objection, let's go take a look at the space together, and we walk through the space together. Have an opportunity to sell them a reference list, and that helps me get into step 3, where I'm gonna inspect the area, do an inspection video, measure the job, and I'm gonna come up with my options here. I walk out to the van, I pull some products out of the van, so if I could draw, I'd draw a little van here, right? I come up with my little van here, and then I come back into the house. Hey, did you get in touch with anybody on the reference list? This is what I found. Show the inspection video, jump right into the company story without any delay. Company story, installation, presentation, and boom, all of a sudden we're at products. We talk about different products. The customer finds one that they absolutely love the look of, the feel of. They love the fabs that we've talked about. Great. Hey, do you have any other questions? No, this is fantastic. Well, I've got a question for you. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? No, it just comes down to price. Well, I'm going to do everything in my power not to let price or payment stand in the way. Boom. Now all of a sudden we're talking about price. We land the sale, and then we can get into paperwork and what do we do after that? Okay? So here's the deal. This to me is a very logical flow. I know there's other sales systems that do things a little differently. The only piece of this that sometimes feels a little out of order is I'm putting options together here before I know what product it is. But that allows me, if I at least get a good rough draft, and maybe I have to make a couple of little tweaks before I show them the price, that keeps this time between step 6 and step 8 really, really short. Okay? All right, so that's the big overview. Now, let me slow down and back up a second. When there's some pieces of this sales system, they're not side by side in the system, but they work hand in hand with one another. So the warm-up, what did we say we're trying to get out of the warm-up yesterday? What are we trying to learn in the warm-up?
Where they spend their money is one thing.
Okay. Where they spend their money, where they spend their time. What else?
Lifestyle, their lifestyle.
Yeah, I want to understand something about their life. What else?
How they make decisions. What's their decision-making process?
Yeah, it'd be great to understand how they make decisions. Okay. So I want to get to know them as a person. Okay. Once I have all that, and of course I'm going to get an objection when I ask the transition questions. I'm trying to get an objection. I'm trying to gather all that stuff, right? Okay. So what can I do with all that stuff? Well, step 1 and step 4 go together. A good company story, if you have a really, really good company story, you can never say the same company story twice. So let me explain what I mean by that. If I have a great warm-up with Josefina, and I get to learn about her family, and I learn about everything in Argentina, and I learn about travel that she's done and all this stuff, great. I learn everything I can learn about Josefina in 10 or 15 minutes. Now, when I deliver the company story to Josefina, I'm going to bring all that stuff back in. And I'm going to weave into the company story things from what I learned about her in the warm-up. I'm going to weave in things about Argentina. I'm going to weave in her travels. I'm going to weave that stuff in. Well, if I then went and met with Jake, if I start weaving in stuff about Argentina into his company story, what does that mean? That makes no sense. So I've got to have the basics of my company story down. There's key points that I want to make on different slides, but I also want to be able to personalize it. And the way that I'm going to personalize it is I'm going to personalize it from what I learned from step one. Okay? So step one, this warm-up, yes, I'm melting the shield of ice and I'm doing all that, but at the same time, I'm gathering these little nuggets that I'm going to pull back out and I'm going to use during the company story. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that. The second connection that I want to make is between step 2 and step 6. Because what happens in step 2? I learn what the customer's looking for their floor, and in step 6, I present that back to them. Some people like to use this little equation that says step 2 plus step 6 equals step 8. 2 plus 6 equals 8. Because if I've done a great job up until that point and I land the product, well, then I should be able to close the sale. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice a warm-up. That sounds kind of weird. I'm going to break you guys up into breakout rooms. Okay, and I'll put some of this timing up on the board here so that we don't lose it. I'm going to break you up into breakout rooms.
Yeah.
Your role is to do a warm-up. And don't try to pretend to be somebody else. I know it's going to feel awkward when you say, well, you know, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do flooring. Oh, I do flooring too. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you move off of that quick and get more into hobbies and interests and that sort of thing, okay? But I want you to do a warm-up with the person that you're with. And I want you to learn everything that you can about them, but do it in a not so creepy way, right? So, I mean, if I'll pick on Josefina again. If I ask Josefina, so, hey, Josefina, are you married? That feels a little creepy to me. Okay, that's just me, right? So let's find a way to get to know the person that we're talking to without being weird about it. And I just want to do a good warm-up. And when we come back together, then I'm going to ask you things about the person that you interviewed, the person that you warmed up with, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to keep this to 2 people in a room. There might be a couple of rooms with 3 in them, but I'm going to try to keep this to 2 people in the room. I want, you know, person A to warm up person B, and then person B to warm up person A. And don't do it at the same time. I really want there to be a role separation. I'm the DA, you're the customer, and then you're the customer and I'm the DA, rather than just, okay, we got to know each other all at the same time. You do your warm-up, and the warm-up finishes with the transition questions. Okay, so I should understand something about their family. I might understand something about what they do for a living. I might understand something about what they enjoy doing for fun, recreation, what are their hobbies, whatever, right? And then the transition questions, I should be able to walk away from this with an objection that says, okay, I'm not buying from you today because I'm getting other estimates, I've got other projects, I've got whatever it is, right? Whatever the objection is that you come up with. So when we come back together, I'm going to ask you, what was the person that you were with? What was their hobbies, their interests? What are the things? And what was the objection that you got? So that's your assignment. Get with a partner and do this. And in terms of timing, right now, my clock says that it's 11:46. I want to give you time to have a warm-up in one direction, to have a warm-up in the other direction, and then give you about a 10-15 minute break so that at the end of this warm-up time that you can take a little break, get some water, whatever you need to do, water in, water out, and then we'll join back together. So in terms of total time, let's see, 12, 15. Let's say I'm going to bring you back into the big room at 12:20 Eastern time. Okay. So you've got between now and 12:20 to do your warm up, and then a warm up in both directions, and then take a little break. Any questions about this? All right, so let's make sure that first things first. Don't honestly know if anybody's going to be with the same people you were with yesterday. If I let the system do this pretty randomly.
Yeah, just tell us that we will be, and then when it doesn't, blame the computer.
That's it.
I'll accept that.
Right. Okay, so I think that I've got reasonable pairs here. As always, if you need help, you know there's a way in Zoom to ask for help, and I can jump into whatever breakout room you're in. All right, I'll see you guys back at 12:20. Go have fun doing a warm up. We'll put Jeff with Jeff to room 7.
We got cut off. Sorry, Spencer.
Yeah, sorry, Sherry.
All right, so everybody's back. I want to hear the best of the best. I want to hear the ones that that just absolutely knocked your socks off. If you were with somebody that just, I mean, they've got this, right? The personalization, it felt so natural. Everything was really good. I want you to share that with the group so that we can all learn from that experience.
Yeah. Hey, Arlen, Jennifer, is it Evington? Did a great job. She was in my breakout, did a great job on the stars. She used the stars slide, the 5 stars, and was able to hit on multiple points in the same slide that, you know, relating to the mobile showroom. Like, hey, I don't have time on the weekends because I camp a lot with my family. And they're right there all the way through the seamless service, and, you know, feeling confident that she's a team that I can trust while we're at our kids' basketball games, right? I mean, but like, it wasn't elongated, but every one of those stars had a relatable point to me, and I thought that was good.
Thank you.
Nice, nice. And so, Brett, when she did that, if you're in the customer's seat, how does that make you feel?
Like, she's listening to me. Like, I mean, to keep it simple, like she wasn't just asking to ask, she was asking to know, and like, she's remembering these things, and that tells me that she has a good attention to detail, and this project's going to go well.
Good, good. I like it.
Thanks.
Somebody else,
Can I share something about Beto?
please.
So Beto's in Atlanta, and he just did such a great job of really helping me feel like he's a company that I could trust as a consumer. And then on the flip side, obviously knowing the back end of what he's trying to do with the company story, he shared the first few slides and he kind of laid a framework for things he would talk about later, but did it in a subtle way. So he talked about, you get the best of both worlds, that we're locally owned and operated. So you get a small local team, but you also get manufacturer direct pricing and really great products and all these other things. So then later on in the presentation, when you come back to that slide of manufacturer direct, he's already talked about it, he's already hit on it, and he's just reinforcing that concept again. I thought it was really, really good.
Nice, nice. I love it. Good. Somebody else.
I can talk about Alana.
Yeah, go ahead, Raul.
Yeah, no, I think a couple of things I think she did a really, really good job on. One is she's very natural when she speaks, and I don't feel like I'm being, read from a script, but she focused on the Better Business Bureau slide and just made it a lot more depth to the information that was presented there. She talked about, that they looked at this industry and they looked at, really wanted to drill down to see why too many complaints were coming in, and then tied that into the 80% of people who went with the lowest price, just not being happy. So I thought the way she kind of made it a little bit more three-dimensional was really good.
And then if I could add, also Raul had a really cool thing when I did the choices slide. Because I talked about the other contractors who, they can do all kinds of things, but we just do one. He said, we're not a jack of all trades, we're a master of one. And I thought that, I'm going to steal that and add that into my choices slide, because I thought that was really cool.
Nice, nice. And that's why I have you share in the big room so that everybody else gets to hear that too. Good. Other things that you heard, I want to steal this, I want everybody else to know how good this was. Oh, come on, a room this size, there should be like hundreds of them.
I don't have any. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I was with Keith Thomas and I just wanted to give him a shout out. I mean, he flowed really, really well. My example was that I have a floor that's having issues that basically has to be repaired or replaced. And he focused on the stars, the reviews, and the BBB, knowing that I'm a customer that is already living in a bad situation and needs to go with a company that can take care of the issues and was reliable. But he kept eye contact the whole time and he just flowed from slide to slide. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. He did a great job.
Nice. Nice. And keeping eye contact on Zoom is tough. I like it. What else did you guys hear that you really liked?
Caroline, if I may, when I was talking to Jenny, she was talking about the slide when, how do you choose? And I like what she said, the way she addressed it. So she didn't want to talk any bad about, the contractors out there, but they want to be very, very conscious about the right value. And so she talked about how easy and simple the process it would be, that I can really, with my busy lifestyle, that I can definitely not worry about the process when the installation was going on, and also make me feel good about all-inclusive prices and no surprises at all. What my own experience was that I did ask for a proposal from a contractor, and they hide a few things, and she was, right on target, said this is going to be an all-inclusive price, so there will be no future surprises for you. So I kind of like that. She hit it right in the nail.
Love it. I love it. Let's do another one.
Brett did a really good job of picking up on things that I said that I didn't even realize I said. So when he did the slides, he talked about me being an empty nester and spending more time at home, and how, the process would be easy and simple for me. And I didn't even realize I'd said all that, and he picked up on it. So he did a really good job of putting that in there.
Love it. I love it. Lisa, you had something.
Yeah, I was with Adam, and he picked up on some, I thought, really interesting things, or he at least tied them together in an interesting way. Because I was a nurse before my husband and I bought this franchise, and he actually, the first slide he used was with the first service because he talked about how First Service has a commitment to serve, and that I would identify that with that being a nurse. And he talked about he really focused on that. I thought that was a very interesting place to start. And then we talked about my love of history in our conversation. And then the next slide he went to was the one about 400,000 customers. And he talked about the history of the company and in terms of its longevity and the customers that it serves. And I thought those are two really kind of complicated things about myself that he worked into that talk.
Nice. Nice. I love it. Axel.
Yes, I'd like to point out the feedback I got from Dan just before. What we did is I told him beforehand what I was aiming at doing, and so that he could see what I was, what we were supposed to achieve after that minute and a half. And right after I finished, he said, there was no connection between what you said and what you were pretending to say, right? So that gave us, it was great. It was great because, I talked for a minute and a half and it was nice, but there was no connection between what I just said and what I initially intended to convey as a message. So that gave us an opportunity to rehearse again and do it one more time. And I think the second time, at least Dan didn't say otherwise, it went a little better.
Nice.
No, he definitely tied in a personal thing the second time. And yeah, the first time there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. There was no tie into our discussion in the warm up.
Good. I love it. I love it. And I love that honest feedback, right? Sometimes it's hard to give people honest feedback. You're like, look, I don't want to hurt their feelings, but if you're trying to help somebody get better, it's great to point that stuff out. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being open to that. All right. So this is
Hey, Arlen?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before we move on, I had a question that really from the first exercise, because Axel stumped me this morning in the warm-up, right? So I asked him, after we did the warm-up, I started the transition questions and, how long you've been thinking about doing your floors. And they had moved here from Argentina 3 years ago, and that was how long they've been considering it. There was no objection there. And then I said, so, why did you decide to do it today? And then he said, well, February and March are the busiest times at my work. And so this is a good time. We're going to have more time. And then I said, so why did you decide to buy from me today? And then he said, again, well, like I said, I've got more time now. There was no objection, right? And so at what point, I don't want to make it awkward and keep probing for an objection that's not there. So I figured at that point, I just went on and I figure I'll deal with the objection in step 8. If I get one then, but he really gave me no objection. So I thought it was great from him because he actually stumped me in the warm up.
Okay. So what I would say, if I want to dig into those questions, right? I want to dig into those questions and I really want to get an objection. So the first opportunity for somebody to give an objection, how long have you been thinking about replacing the floor? Now, I'm not asking for an objection, but sometimes people will say, well, no, we've been looking at it for 6 months, but I'm not doing anything today. They'll just go ahead and throw it out there, right? And they'll tell you, I'm getting estimates or whatever it is. The second opportunity somebody has is when you say, what made you decide to do it today? And they say, well, March, April, this is sort of an open time in my calendar, and this is the best time for me to get it done. So yeah, that's why we're doing it now, is it fits well. Okay, good. All right. And then you did the right thing. You said, well, what made you decide to buy from me today? Now, most of the time when you hit them with that third question, what made you decide to buy from me today? It really is poking the bear just a little bit. It's not a hard poke, but you're poking the bear just enough that I would expect them to say, buy today. I'm not buying anything today. I'm just, this is what's going on, right? But he didn't. In this case, he repeated the same kind of fluff. I've got time in my schedule. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to poke the bear a 4th time. And this is the last time I'm going to poke the bear. If I don't get it after this, then we're just going to go look at this face and I'm going to be done with it, right? but I might look at Axel and say something to the effect, not word for word, but I may say something to the effect of, well, Axel, the way that our process works, in just a moment, we're gonna walk the space and I want you to show me everything that's going on in the house that you wanna change. I'm gonna put together a proposal for you. I will even work up some different options for you. And here in really in just a few minutes, I'm gonna be able to put together a proposal. I'm gonna be able to put together a contract. And I will be in a position to be able to sign a contract today. If we can find the right product and the right price, are you in a position to be able to sign a contract today?
Oh.
Okay, now that feels really aggressive, and in a way it is. But I'm doing it with somebody that's giving me nothing but fluff. I'm not doing that with everybody, right? If he says, oh yeah, if we find the right product, the right price, I can absolutely do it today. Okay, great, let's go look at the space. I'm not poking another time. That is the hardest, most assertive poke that I can do. I'm gonna be in a position to sign a contract. Will you be in a position to sign a contract? And if I don't get something back from that, I'm not gonna get anything. So let's just go look at the space.
No, that's good. Yeah. And that would have been the right response is let's go look at the space and I'll work up a contract.
Yep,
And
that's
see
it.
how we,
Let's go work. And then,
And Arlen,
you know,
can
if
I
I'm
ask
gonna be
you?
in a position to sign, would you be in a position to sign? And that sort of puts a little bit of, well, wait a minute, hold on, what's up?
At what point do you or do you realize the best thing I'm probably going to get out of this experience is maybe a job in the future and maybe a referral? Do you change things up or do you expedite things?
Not
you know, what-
really. I typically go through, because when I'm walking in, and maybe it's because I'm not that good of a salesperson. I mean, I personally believe that there's only 2% of the population that are natural salespeople, right? People come to me all the time and say, well, I'm a natural salesperson. No, you're not. I mean, I don't believe it. I believe that sales, just like playing the guitar, just like playing football, just like a lot of other things in life, sales is a skill. And just like any other skill, it can be learned, it can be perfected, it can be practiced, and you can get better and better at it, just like any other skill that's out there. Okay, good. I didn't come from a sales background. I came from an engineering background. So I had to learn how to sell. I think I told you I'm somewhere between a 45 and a 50% first call close in the home. That's what my normal close rate is somewhere between 45 and 50. There's others that are out there that are 55, 60. There's other salespeople out there. People that are natural salespeople, great, right? No problem with that. Okay. To me, I have a process. I'm not a natural salesperson. I don't know what part of the process is going to speak to this customer. So I'll hear some people say, you know, like I'll ask them, are you using a reference list? No, I only use it when I think I'm going to need it. Well, reference list is really, really early in the process. How do you know that you're going to need it or not need it? Right? Do you do an inspection video? Well, yeah, I only need it if I feel like the customer is going to delay me. Well, how do you know that? See, I don't know. I'm not good enough to be able to pick up on all that stuff. So instead, I just empty the barrels every time I go in, which means I don't care if it's, because I've made the mistake before. I don't care if I'm going to see my mom and dad. Doesn't matter. I'm going through the whole process. Doesn't matter. When I first started, I made the big mistake of going to see friends and thinking that because they were friends, you know, they were just going to buy from me, and making some big time mistakes. Not in terms of margin. Shoot, I even gave them big discounts, but having big time mistakes because I didn't do the company story, or I didn't show the value, or I didn't make sure that both the husband and wife were there, or whatever it was. I made big mistakes with friends and didn't land the sale because I didn't actually use the sales process. So for me, and you guys you'll develop your own structure, you'll develop your own style, you'll develop what works for you. That's great. For me, I have to have a process, and I have to stick to the process. And the closer I stick to the process, the higher my chances are of landing the sale. If I get lazy, and that's all it is a matter of lazy. If I get lazy and I don't do a setup call, or I get lazy and you know what, I haven't updated my reference list in the last 2 weeks, I'm not going to burn these people. I'm just not going to do a reference list, or yeah, the company story, I'm gonna do the company story, but I'm gonna sort of halfway do it. You know, I don't really want to think, right? It's laziness. I get lazy, I don't sell. I get back on track and I stick to the process, I sell. And so it doesn't matter to me if I think this or that, if it's family, friends, it doesn't matter. I'm going to stick to the process each time because that gives me the best chance of success.
And actually, probably that's easy. That's easier too, honestly, because it's like a pilot doing a pre-flight. You always do
what I do.
Just kind of follow a routine. Yeah.
And I like that metaphor. If I were going to fly my mom and dad somewhere as a pilot, why wouldn't I do the pre-flight? I mean, you know, come on. All right, good. That was a long-winded answer to your question, but
no, it's a great answer. Thank you.
It's important. It's important for me to understand. Now, where would I change? There are times I would change. If I'm going to on a commercial job and I'm not meeting with any of the decision makers, you know, there's going to be a committee that decides. Well, I don't need to give the company story to the intern that was just told, you know, walk this person around and let them see it. Why am I giving a company story to this person? They don't have anything to do with this, right? So in that case, things will be a little bit different. But I also know that if I want to land the job, I've got to figure out how to get in front of the decision-making committee and give a presentation. And the presentation is going to be the company story. I mean, it's just, you know, that's what that looks like. So as much as possible, the timing might be a little different, but as much as possible, I still want to stay on my game.
Thank you. Marketing.
Good. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. We are going to shift gears and we're going to go into step 2, and we're going to tie step 2 and step 6 together. But this is another sort of big piece that we're going to work on. So why don't we take the opportunity here to stop and grab some lunch? I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of standing, so I'm going to, it's 1:18 on my clock. I'm going to say we go until 2 o'clock, and I will pull everybody back together at 2 o'clock. You know, if you sign off, sign back on at 2 o'clock, and we are going to jump directly into step 2 and doing a great step 2 so that I know what products to pull out of the van. So go grab some lunch, 2 o'clock Eastern, we'll come back, and I'll see you guys then. Let me pause that. All right, so what I want to try to get us through today is I want to tie step 2 and step 6 together, and I want us to spend some time tying those two things together. So we're gonna dive sort of deep into step 2 and figuring out what it is that the customer wants their new floor to look like, to feel like, how they want it to last. So we're gonna spend some quality time around that, and then tying that to a good step 6. The second thing that I want to do, time permitting, is I want to dive into just a very brief discussion around technology and sort of best practices around what do I do in Salesforce, what do I do in the tablet, and understand that sort of that flow. And Jeff, I think you had asked about this yesterday. What does that flow look like to go from Salesforce to the tablet, back to Salesforce, and sort of some common practices and best practices around that. So that's not a long, normally it's not a long discussion, but I do want to kind of dig into that if we have time to do so. So let me share the whiteboard screen, and we're going to go there and dive into step 2. All right. Got it. Okay, so step 2 and step 6. Speaking just about the product in step 2. And so step 2, there's a lot that goes on in step 2, right? In step 2, we're trying to find out what is it about, you know, what is it here today? What do we have here today? Is this carpet? Is this hardwood? Is it tile? What is it? I'm trying to find out what the subfloor is. I'm looking around trying to understand what is the furniture that's going to have to be moved. I'm looking at trim to see How do the baseboards look? Is that going to be an opportunity? I mean, there's all this stuff that's going on in my head in step 2. But what I want us to focus on is, how am I going to decide what products to pull out of the van? How am I going to actually pick a product for the customer? And that's where I want us to, that's what I want to try to focus on right now. Okay, so this whole inspection piece, I've sent this form to you guys. In fact, I've sent this form to you guys several times. So these are like your step 2 questions, and I'm just going to blow this up so that we can get a good view of it here. Okay. At the end of the day, I want to understand, what does the customer want it to look like? What do they want it to feel like? How do they want it to last? So let's take a look at the questions that are on this sheet. You have a copy of this sheet. I've sent it in almost every email that I've sent you guys. So you should already have this sheet. But as we walk through this, this is a sheet that, frankly, you might have printed out and on a clipboard. And as you're walking through the house with the person, you're just taking this on this piece of paper. All right. Think about this first question. By the way, these are not word for word questions. So, you can get the same information by asking different questions. That's fine. These are just suggested questions. If you like them, use them. If you got your own questions, use your own questions. First question, what is it that you're looking to accomplish? Or if you reworded it a little bit, what are you wanting to do with this space? What are you trying to accomplish with this space? So let me ask you guys this. What is that question trying to get at?
It's finding out what they want it to be like at the end. If they're trying to accomplish that they want it to be cleaner, easier to clean, or softer underfoot, or whatever. I think this is where they would say that.
Yep, you're 100% correct, right? This question is all about, what is your vision for this room? Matter of fact, you might even ask it that way, right? What is your vision for this room? What else am I trying to understand with this question?
I think at a high level, you're trying to ascertain just how dialed in they are. They might not have a clue. They might just know that they want something different, or you're listening for cues that they've already done some shopping. If they throw around terms like CoreTech or RevWood, you're going to know that they have already done a little research and might be heading in a certain direction, or they might just be like, I don't know, I just don't like it anymore. I want to do something different. That's a very different kind of conversation.
Good. I like that. What else could come out of this question? What is it that you're looking to accomplish with this space? Or what is your vision for this space? What else might you get out of that?
The actual product they're looking for, whether it's carpet, vinyl.
You might, if they've done some, if they've done some research and, they've been to 2 or 3 different places, they might already have an idea about what product they're looking for. They might. What else might you get from this?
You can also get more personal information to use later, like how do you use this space? Do you have parties, right? Do you have kids?
Are they looking for noise reduction because they have an open floor plan, or do they have pets that they don't want? They want it to be easy cleaning because they have pets or kids.
Right.
Maybe something that they hate. Some people just hate carpet, or.
Okay. And we'll get to a couple of questions that really dial in on what you don't like. The thing about this question, when you ask an open-ended question like this, and this is very open-ended, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with this space? What is, how do you use this space, or how do you want to use this space? This is when you're going to have people tell you that, well, this is a bedroom today, but I'm going to convert it into an office, or it's an office today, but I'm moving back into the office, and so we're going to convert it back to a bedroom. Or they take a space and they say, we're going to make this into a media room, or we're going to make this into the kids' playroom, or whatever, right? So just because you walk in and it's a bedroom, that doesn't mean it's going to stay a bedroom. Or just because you walk in and it's this big media room, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay that way. So one of the things that you're trying to get with a question like this is, tell me the big picture of this room. What are you trying to do with this room? Because that might also open the door to, Well, we're gonna paint it, we're gonna change the ceiling fan out, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, right? And you get an idea of vision. Help paint a picture for me of what it is that you want this room to look like. This is very much a big picture question. Okay, so let's say that the customer says, well, this is my home office right now, but you know what? I'm moving back into the office. Everybody's going full-time back in the office now. So we're going to convert this into a bedroom, and this is going to be where my mother-in-law stays. So, okay, so we're going to dress it up for my mother-in-law. Okay, that might lead you into, or are you going to paint the walls? Are you going to, are you doing anything with closet doors? I mean, it opens the conversation so that you get a visual image of what they're trying to do with the space. Okay. All right. Now the next question, I think that was Alana that said this. What is it about your existing floor that makes you want to replace it? Okay. What is it about your existing floor that makes you want to replace it? What is that question trying to drive at?
This will allow you to know exactly what they dislike about the current product, and you don't bring anything closer to it.
Good. I want to understand what the dislikes are. Okay. What else? Or let's dive into the dislikes. What are some things that people might not like about their current floor?
Maybe it's too cold.
Color, texture.
Yeah, the look of it and the feel of it.
It's scratched.
Condition, right? So it's scratched, it's beat up, whatever, it's stained.
Route joints.
Okay. All right. Now, you walk into a house, because I've walked into this house. You walk into a house and, we encourage you to wear booties, right? And you've got the nice booties that are embroidered, or if you don't have those, you've at least got the, some sort of disposable booties that you picked up from one of the big box stores. And there's going to be, most of the time you're going to have customers that say, oh, don't worry about the booties, it's okay. There's going to be other times when you walk through a house that you are thankful that you have on the booties because you don't want your shoes touching their floors. Okay, and I know for some of you, Alana's shaking her head, yes, she's already seen it. Right? You've already seen it. Okay?
Yes, I have.
Yep. So you're gonna find the first time that you walk in, I've had people ask me, well, can I just take my shoes off and walk around in my socks? Well, yeah, you could until you get into that house where you're stepping in so much dog pee you wish you done something different. But it is what it is. Okay? You're gonna walk into that house and you're gonna see, I'm sorry for being gross right after lunch, but you're going to walk into a house and you're going to see dog poo in the house, not just in one place like they just had an accident, but you're going to see it all over the place like they never cleaned it up. Okay? You're going to see stains on carpets all over the place. And you're going to feel really, really silly because you're going to ask a question like, well, what is it about the existing flooring that makes you want to change it? And to you, it seems like the answer is obvious. Well, there's dog crap all over the place. Okay? But then the customer surprises you with something like, I've never really cared for this color. And it has nothing to do with the dog poo. It has everything to do with just the way it looks. So don't make assumptions about what it is that they do or don't like. Just ask the question. Find out from them what they do and don't like.
Would it be appropriate to ask them if they chose a perfect color and everything worked out that they would actually clean up after their pet when we're done, or do we want to leave that on the table?
You probably don't want to ask that. You probably don't want to ask that.
Sure. Sometimes you find bizarre sales tactics at work.
Well, I had a couple that they smoked so bad in the house. I walked into the house and the color of the carpet was sort of a, I don't know, medium brown, I would say. It wasn't really light, it wasn't really dark. It was just sort of a medium brown carpet. Until I moved a piece of furniture and I realized that no, that was a white carpet, but they smoked so much in the house that the carpet was brown. Okay, so they told me that when we did the new floors, that the rule was going to be that they never smoked in the house again. Well, the reality is they're gonna smoke in the house again, and frankly, it's not my house for them to smoke in, so they can do whatever they want to in their house. They can call me in another 5 years and we can replace the carpet again. All right, so what is it? So this third question, this is one of these, so if somebody has carpet and they want hardwood, you might ask the question this way: what is it about hardwood that makes you want it instead of carpet? Okay. Or whatever, you fill in the blanks the way that it makes sense. What is it about laminate that makes you want it instead of hardwood? What is it about tile that makes you want it instead of carpet? Whatever, right? So if somebody's changing from one to the next, what is it about this floor that makes you want it instead of that floor? Okay, so what is this question trying to dive into?
The reason for the change, either appearance or function.
Okay.
Maybe to
And
see if they understand the products that are out there.
Oh, right, okay. So do they really understand? Do they have the knowledge? Right, do they really know what they're talking about? Most people don't. People will tell you, well, I want to get rid of the carpet because I have allergies. Because people feel like carpet gives them allergies. But then you'll have other people that say, I want to get rid of the hardwood because I have allergies and I want carpet in here so that it'll catch everything. Okay, so you're telling me one's good for allergies and the other's good for allergies. Sure, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Okay, good. So, you might talk to somebody that says, I want laminate. Well, what is it about laminate that makes you want laminate instead of carpet? Oh, well, I want, I know that laminate's waterproof, and you sit back and think, well, wait a minute, laminate's not waterproof. I mean, we've got some water resistant options, but is it really laminate that they want, or is it something else? Just because a customer says something doesn't necessarily mean that that's the exact product that they're looking for. Okay, so keep that in mind. Just because the customer uses a word, they may or may not know what that word really means. You know a lot more today than your customers do. All right, what else is this question going after?
Well, it's giving us clues about what features and benefits are going to be most important to highlight for them.
Absolutely. So if I tell you that, I've seen this beautiful luxury vinyl, I've seen all this stuff on TV, and I've got a dog that has accidents, and so I really want something that's going to be dog friendly. Okay, well now I have something to work with, because when I bring a product in, I want to be able to show them how this is going to help with that dog, right? So this is going to help me understand what features and benefits are going to be worthwhile to talk about with this customer. Okay.
Yep.
What else did you get? Yes, Tom.
I find at this place too, when you're having this discussion, just to say, by the way, you would like luxury vinyl plank. Your reasons are solid. Have you seen anything you like? Because you find customers got 6 samples in their bedroom that they're not going to show you unless you ask. And all this,
I love it.
Now you have a chance also to countersell later when you say, by the way, that luxury vinyl plank you picked out at Floor and Decor, that's only got a 6 mil wear layer. I'm going to tell you why that's something you want to avoid. So by getting their samples on the table as soon as I can, it instantly tells you they're looking at all gray tones. So anyway, it's a great time to ask.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. All right. When the project is complete, it's cleaned up and all the furniture is back in place, what does this look like to you? All right. So what is this question trying to do?
Assume the sale.
What do you mean, Will?
Kind of like put it in their head that whenever we do this project and we get it all done perfectly and exactly how you want it, how do you want it to look? So it kind of does a little bit of both, of saying that we're going to do it and then we're going to make it look good, but what color and everything do you kind of want? And of course you can put that in different perspectives, but that's just kind of one that I've noticed.
Good. Okay. So this is another vision question. This is like a second shot at a vision question, okay? This is another vision question, and this is the perfect place when the furniture's all put back in. What does this look like to you? This is the perfect place to ask, like Tom was saying, have you seen other samples that you like? Do you have photos of something that you like? Did you see something online that you like, right? This is the perfect chance to see, ask the customer, help paint me a mental picture of what you want this room to look like. This is a great place to ask about baseboards. In other words, you look around the room and somebody wants to do an impressive hardwood floor, but you look around the room and they've got a standard 3 1/4 inch builder grade baseboard. You're asking them, what does this space look like? Have you considered putting a taller baseboard to really make the floor stand out, right? So this is the opportunity to ask that kind of question, okay? All right, question number 5. Are you considering other spaces or projects for the future? What is this question trying to do?
Well, no, there's a possibility for a second phase.
Upsell.
Expand scope, right? Upsell. This gives me the opportunity, and as we were talking about yesterday, when I put a project together, I like to have an option 1, an option 2, and option 3. And the easiest way in the world to drop from option 1 to option 2 is to have something in the scope that I can take back out again. So this gives me a great way to say, the customer says, well, we're thinking about doing the upstairs, but we probably wouldn't do that for another 6 months. Okay, well, you know what? It'll take me 5 extra minutes to measure the upstairs. I'll go ahead and throw an option together that's got it in there together, and let's take a look at it. Okay, I'm not pressuring them. I'll put an option together. And then if nothing else, you can kind of start to budget what you want to do 6 months from now. Okay. All right. Notice, though, the wording of this question, and again, these are not word for word questions. You can do with these whatever you want to. But you notice there is a word that is purposefully missing in this question. Does anybody know what's missing?
The word flooring.
Yeah, the word flooring. Now, why would I say that I purposely don't want the word flooring in this question?
Trying to find out if we're competing for their dollars with another project, like a kitchen remodel or a roof or a deck.
Right.
Or if they're going to need, or if they're going to want to wait until another project is finished before they start the floors, or get the floors done before another project.
Yep. So I am finding out with this question, can I expand scope? I'm also finding out with this question, am I competing for dollars? It may not have anything to do with the inside of the house. They might be considering putting a pool in the backyard. Okay, well now I'm not competing with another flooring company. I'm competing with the pool company. So now I've got to strategize, how can I show the customer that they can get the pool and the floor, right? Or at least highlight the floor. So I'm understanding how I'm competing with dollars. What else does this question allow me to do?
Understand order of things that may go on. If they're going to paint the house inside, you want to do that first and then the floors later.
All right, so I'm gonna touch on sequencing just for a second, but before I do, this gives me the opportunity What do I mean by referrals?
Give basically give business to other trusted professionals in our contact sphere world.
This would be like where you would introduce like people in your BNI group.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is where the customer says, well, I'm thinking about painting first, or I'm thinking about painting. Okay, this is a beautiful opportunity for me to be able to show to give a referral to somebody else. Okay. Or I'm thinking about doing a pool. Okay. I've got a pool guy, right? This gives me the opportunity to hand work to somebody else. And the more work I hand to other people, the more work they're going to hand to me. So if I ask the question, are you considering any other spaces or other flooring projects in the near future, then I'm probably not going to hear these answers. But if I just ask, are you thinking about any other projects? Well, if they're thinking about other flooring projects, I'm standing right in front of them. Obviously, they're going to answer with flooring. But if they're thinking about other stuff like painting or pools or who knows what, I asked this question to one woman and she had a 3-page list of all kinds of crazy stuff that she wanted to do. My gosh, I was set in B&I for the next 6 months for referrals. So it's just, it gives you the opportunity to give other people work that they can turn around and give you work back. Okay? Now, Keith, you said something about painting and doing things first and second, and this is a little bit of a detour, but I want to document this. What comes first, paint or floors?
Paint usually.
Paint.
Paint.
Okay. So here's a general rule of thumb. Okay, and yes, there's exceptions, but there's a general rule of thumb. If this is a soft surface, paint first, then do the floor. So if you're putting in carpet, do the painting first and then do the floor. But if you're doing a hard surface, do the floor first and then the paint.
Just so they could
And
do
that
the
gives-
baseboards and everything at the same time.
Right, and that gives the painter the opportunity to do the baseboards and trim and all that stuff and make it all tie in really, really nice. Okay? Professional painters are paid to paint walls, not floors. So I get it, carpet can be a little bit tricky sometimes right up against the baseboards. So I would suggest if they're gonna paint, do paint and then floors if it's soft surface, but if it's hard surface, do the floor first and then the paint. Now, having said that, if I ask the question, are you considering any other spaces or projects in the near future? And the customer says, yeah, we're thinking about painting too. Does that, and does the timing have anything to do with me being able to land the job today?
No.
No, that's just scheduling, right? That's purely scheduling. So you'll have a customer that says, yeah, we're wanting to do new counters in here before we do the floors. And then I hear people say, well, I couldn't do anything because they got to do the counters first. Well, why didn't you land the sale? Land the sale and then schedule the install when the counters are done. I mean, don't let scheduling stand in the way of landing the job. Okay. So let's say that I ask these questions. All right, who wants to play? Who wants to play a little bit?
I will.
Who was that?
Aaron.
Aaron. All right, so Aaron, you be the design associate, and all I want you to do is ask me these 5 questions.
Okay. Arlen, what is it that you're looking to accomplish?
Well, this is my home office, but I'm moving back into the corporate office, and so we're gonna turn this back into a bedroom, and so I wanna replace the carpet before we turn it back into a bedroom.
Okay, what about the existing carpet or flooring? Don't you like? Why do you want to replace it?
Well, it's because it's been used as an office. I mean, there's some streak marks and stuff where the chair's been back and forth on it, and it's just when we set it up as a bedroom again, I want to start from scratch. I want it to look fresh.
Okay, I understand that. And then, what is it about the carpet?
Hi, friends.
What do you
I'm
want to
here
stay
to
with?
remind everybody that Wisconsin.
All right, so I might skip question 3 because I'm staying carpet to carpet.
Yeah, I didn't know.
No problem.
Okay. we'll
That's
skip
okay.
that.
Yep. All right. So number 4.
Okay, when this project is complete, cleaned up, and all the furniture is back in place, What does it look like to you? What do you envision?
You know, just something really clean, something fresh. We're gonna repaint I figure we'll pull the carpet out and repaint before you put the new carpet in. So I mean, I just want it to look clean and fresh when we're done.
Okay. And are you using this for a bedroom then for somebody, or just as a spare
Yeah.
room? Or?
Yeah, it'll end up being a bedroom for my mother-in-law.
Okay. Are you considering any other spaces or projects in the near future? I know you mentioned
Well,
the painting of this room.
Yeah, we'll paint. I mean, the other big thing that we're looking at is potentially getting one of those, you know, one of those elevators that go up the I don't even know what they're called. You know, the little chairs that go up the side.
Oh, a
the
chair
wall.
lift, a chair lift in
Yeah,
the,
the
on the
chair
stairs.
lift. I mean, we're considering doing that for her and make it easier for her to get up and down the stairs.
Okay.
All right, so let's time out right there. I asked Aaron to ask the questions that we just went through, right? Like these are some magical questions. Aaron, do you have any idea at all what I want my new floor to look like?
Just clean.
That's it. I didn't give him much. My point is that these questions are good questions to get a conversation started, but you will not stop with just these questions. What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like, right? Are you looking for a carpet that's going to be particularly thick or thin? Are you looking for something dense or open? Are you looking for a solid color or something that's got some texture in it? What is it that how do you want it to feel? Do you want this to be soft and cushy? So these questions are a good place to start, but these are not going to be the only questions that you ask. Okay? So I want us to spend some time thinking about what are the questions that you need to ask, or what are the things that you need to get square in your mind before you jump out there and say, okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to run out to the van and grab some stuff. Because right now, if Aaron ran out to the van to grab some stuff, I'm assuming what he brings in is going to be fresh and clean. I have no idea what that's going to look like. He doesn't either. He's going to stand out in the van, and I imagine because he's got some confidence, he's probably going to pick the 3 best-selling boards that he's sold and bring them in and do his best to sell one of those to me. But at the end of the day, he has no idea what I'm looking for because he didn't ask. That's not his fault. He did exactly what I told him to do, okay? So now, let's think about some other questions.
Can I ask you something, Arlen?
Yes.
So can you possibly, for us that are a little slower with the drawing part of the floor plan and everything, to save time, can you do this in the pre-call and ask them if they have pictures or what they're looking for, just to get an idea, and then expand on it once you get there a little bit to help you already in your mind have an idea of what you should pull for that customer? Or no?
You can. So you can get a ton of information in the setup call. You can absolutely do that. What you're going to find when you get to the home, though, is that a lot of times the customer, they've called you because they want carpet, right? Carpet, and that's all they're thinking about. And you get into the home and they realize, oh, wait a minute, you also do hardwood?
Okay.
Well, can you look at this? And because I did this great setup call and I got all this information about carpet, now I feel like I'm throwing off my game because I didn't prepare anything for hardwood, right? And so and again, this is one of those personal preference things. When I do a setup call, I want to get just a little bit of information. I normally don't dive deep into the scope of the project because frankly, it doesn't matter. They're going to change their mind when I get there anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's me. For somebody else, maybe they want more detailed information. That's great. It's not that one's right and one's wrong. That to me is just personal preference.
Hey, Arlen.
Yeah.
I think also when you ask the question, what's your vision when the floor is installed, everything's cleaned up, the furniture's back? Whatever answer they give, I always say, well, hold on 1 second. Let me take a picture of the room. The good news is I'm going to be able to show you what the product looks like that you choose in this actual room with your furniture. Is that something that will help in the?
Yes, you can do that if you happen to be selling a board from one of the companies that has one of the visualizers.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So Shaw has one, Cali has one. different companies have those visualizers, but not everybody has a visualizer like that. So if I may actually show them the visualizer in step 6, but I may not tell them that in step 2 because I don't know if they're gonna pick a product that is with a manufacturer that has one of those.
Okay, got it. Good point.
Okay, so I want to think through. Let's just start with hardwood. Okay, let's just start. We'll keep this simple. So I tell you that I want a hardwood floor. What are characteristics of a hardwood floor that you want to dive into so that when you walk out in the van, you can pick the right one?
Do they want a rustic?
Good. All right.
You want smooth?
You want it to look rustic?
Dark or light?
Species, if they know.
What was that?
Wood grain visual.
What type of wood they like?
Oh, species. Species. Good. Okay. So might be an oak, hickory. Spencer, what was it that you said?
The amount of wood grain that's visual, like knots in it or not, or
What about widths of boards, like staggered or large, wider versus skinnier?
Yep.
Hey, Arlen, I think a lot of times when people say I want a hardwood floor, what they're really saying is I want a wood look floor. So it's important.
Agreed.
It's important
Yep,
to
agreed.
probe a little, important to probe a little, because I can say I can bring in hardwood, I can bring in engineered hardwood, I can bring in a laminate, I can bring in an LVP. So I'll show you those 4 choices. Is that what you want to see? And they say, no, we want real wood. Okay, well then it's just hardwood and engineered hardwood. But
Okay.
9 times out of 10, when they say hardwood, they're talking about a wood look floor.
Yep. They just want it to look like wood. Yep.
Right.
What else could I drill into here?
Did we already talk about texture, like scraped, hand scraped, how smooth they want it to be?
Yep. So is it going to be scraped, smooth?
The
Okay,
bevel
good.
of the plank, Arlen,
Sorry, Cody?
the bevel, like, some people don't like that beveled look. Some people want it to be a little bit more smooth, continuous plank to plank, and some people do like that more aggressive bevel look.
Okay, good.
Finished or unfinished? Excuse me, pre-finished?
Yep, pre-finished. Okay, good. What else?
What about the coating?
What about the coating, Lisa?
What about the durability factor of the? Kind of the engineered
good.
versus standard hardwood.
All right, so whether or not it's going to be engineered versus solid. Okay,
Did
what
they-
else?
Do they want the floor to be able to be sanded? And if they say, yeah, if we sell the house to somebody new, we want to tell them they can change it, which just means solid oak, really.
Okay, what
Or
else?
whatever the hardwood.
I think I would ask them about their personality with scratches and how much does that bother them? Because that can eliminate a lot of choices if they have big dogs, if they have young kids, if they just hate it when they see a scratch on their floor, if they've had hardwood floors before.
Okay,
Color variability and plank variability, size, length.
okay.
I would,
How about the level of gloss?
Hmm.
So do you want a high gloss, medium gloss, matte finish? Okay,
if
what
it's
else?
like say a south facing space with a ton of natural light, we might want to talk about, or at least explore their knowledge of fading. Whether a laminate is going to fade less than an LVP, versus, natural
Okay.
hardwood.
I know we're kind of getting into some specifics here, Arlen, but if they really want hardwood and it's a basement and you have a concrete subfloor, then you're only going to be looking at engineered. And so you're going to be looking at a glue installation. If it's a second floor, do they want a glue installation? Do they want a nail down staple installation? So knowing kind of the subfloor and what they're wanting and install
Okay.
type. Yes, correct.
So Cody, let me ask you this question around the install type. Who is going to choose how it's going to be installed?
That would be us.
Yep. So I'm not going to ask the customer, how do you want it installed? Because we're going to choose the best way to install for this particular floor, right?
Right. I just meant, more so if they want it in like hardwood in a basement, they I really want it, but they don't understand that, you can only do engineers down here.
Okay. So again, here's how I'm going to play that out. Customer calls me, we're in the basement and they want hardwood in the basement. Okay. Can you do hardwood in the basement?
Yeah.
Yes or no question. Can you do hardwood in the basement?
Yes.
Only engineered.
Engineered.
I don't know. Answer yes or no. Can I do
Yes.
hardwood in the basement?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Now here's a detail. It has to be engineered. I am technically I'm 100% behind it, right? But if the customer says I want to do hardwood in the basement, what is my answer? We can do hardwood in the basement.
Mhm.
There's no problem with that. I can do hardwood in the basement. It just has to be an engineered hardwood. But I don't need to go into a bunch of technical explanation with them at this point.
Correct.
Remember where I'm at. I'm in step 2, and I'm asking them, what do you want your floor to look like? How do you want it to feel? How do you want it to last? This is not the time to get into a bunch of technical jargon around how we're going to install it. Okay. All right. This is a pretty good list. We might have missed a thing or two. I don't know. But this is a really, really good list. So if you knew, we'll highlight some things here. I know that I'm looking for a floor that's rustic and dark, and I really like hickory, and I do want some knots. I want a wide board, and I want it to be scraped. I'm not a big fan of the bevel, but I mean, that's okay. I want it pre-finished. I'm not a big fan of scratches, so it needs to be durable. I'm okay engineered or solid because I'm upstairs. I don't really care if it needs to be sanded or not. Color variation, I want very, very little color variation. Plank size, I want exactly a 5 3/4 inch wide plank and a matte finish. If I gave you all of that, could you go out to the van and find a product for me?
Yes.
Maybe one board, maybe.
No,
No?
you probably couldn't.
That's a lot of
You
detail.
probably couldn't. Because now I've asked too many questions and I've painted myself into a corner. Right? So there's a balance here. If I'm going to ask a customer questions, I'm probably going to ask something about color, right? Are you looking for something that's lighter or darker? I might ask something about texture. What else? I might ask something about plank size. And that might be it. So if I ask the customer if they're looking for a lighter color or darker color, and I ask them if they're looking for something that's textured or smooth, and I ask them if they're looking for a wide plank or a narrow plank. So if I told you that I'm looking for a wide plank, that's it's got some texture on it, and I'm looking for a darker board, with those 3 things, could you go to the van and pull a product out for me?
Yes.
And
Yes.
those of you that have pulled some product, if I gave you those 3 things, you think you could pull maybe 3 boards out?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get enough information that I get into the ballpark. When I'm in step 2, I'm not trying to get down to a specific board. I'm trying to get down to a 3-board set. I just want to get close enough that I can now start to bring some samples into the home. Does that make sense? Right? Because if I told you that I want a gray, beige, call it grayish floor, and it's got to have an exactly 5 3/4 inch wide, and it's got to be this, and it's got to be, you go to the van and you stand there for 30 minutes looking in the, there's nothing there. It doesn't exist. What is this, right? Where'd you dream this up? Okay. So I don't want to dig myself too deep of a hole here. These are all really good questions. These are all really good things to understand about the floor, but I don't want to get so detailed that now I paint myself into a corner where I don't have anything for you. Now what am I doing? Now I'm driving all over town trying to find a sample. And that's a waste of time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is where it gets easier from here. Oh, by the way, finished versus unfinished. Who said that?
That was me, Arlen.
All right, so Keith, how many unfinished boards do you have in the van?
I don't think I have any. At least I don't press
That's
it.
right. You don't have any. You have no unfinished boards in the van. So if I ask the customer, do you want pre-finished or do you want unfinished? And they say, oh, I want it unfinished. Now what are you going to do?
Local lumberyard.
Yep. I mean, you can do it. You're going to find a local lumberyard to do it with, right? But that's probably not going to be my first offering. Okay. So I don't want to dig myself so deep of a hole that I can't get out of it. And that's one really, really easy way of digging myself into a hole. All right. Now here's a beautiful thing. LVP. What questions am I going to ask around LVP?
Color.
Color,
Plank width.
Texture.
durability.
Now, are we assuming from the
aren't you
outset that they
mostly-
actually know what they're talking about?
Yeah. Would
Yeah.
it just start
Since
by asking? if
people
they-
use
We'll make that
LVP?
assumption. We'll make that assumption for right now.
Okay.
Aren't they
wanted to-
mostly going to say the same things? They're going to
Color,
be saying the
plank
same
width.
stuff.
Yeah, Janie's already figured it out, right? These questions
Hello,
are
David Hawkins.
just those questions. It's the exact same set of questions, right? So if I'm doing a luxury vinyl plank for whatever reason, so, you know, do you want it to look rustic or more modern? Are you looking for something that's dark or light? You know, do you like something that looks like oak or hickory? Again, I'm not going to ask all those questions, but these are some of the things, these are some of the characteristics. And it's the same from a visual perspective, not from a durability perspective, not from a functional perspective, but from a visual perspective, it's all the same questions, right? It's all the same questions. What about laminate?
Hey, Arlen, quick question on LVP.
Yeah.
So just with the LVP, would you ask them, I guess, like if it's going in an area like, you know, a kitchen or a dining room where they're maybe going to be a lot more foot traffic, or if it's an area they want a little bit quieter, would you talk about just the difference between a WPC and the SPC, just the thickness of the actual product itself? I guess that's the only,
Okay.
difference I'm seeing compared to like the woods.
Yep, okay. So now we get into the construction of it, right? LVP, you also have a wear layer that you might not talk about with hardwood, okay? But I'm probably not going to ask the customer, do you want an SPC or a WPC? I'm going to look at the way the customer lives and I'm going to decide that for them.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the other thing is really critical. Before you start asking your questions is, you know, they want a product wood look. You got to look at the door jambs. You also have to look above the space above the refrigerator. You know, how much space is there to accommodate? So you can ask a lot of questions, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to work is Cali Legends, because it's almost a ½ inch thick. And we're removing a laminate, and we're going to need that extra height or normal LVP won't fly. So I always just try to be careful before I start probing, is to understand what they're gonna need before I know what they want.
Okay. All right, what about laminate? What questions can I ask around laminate? The same set of questions again, right? Because now when I'm dealing with laminate, laminate looks like wood, so it's the same set of visual questions. This is what I want my floor to look like. These are the images that I like, okay? All right, so if I've done this, if I've done a great step 2, by the way, I need to make this really, really, really clear. Step 2 is about gathering information. I like that. This is about gathering information. Step 2 is not about selling. So step 2, no selling. What do I mean by that?
You're not trying to talk them into a product.
Yeah, I'm not trying to talk them into a product right now. And this is really, really tempting, okay? This is really, really tempting. You'll have a customer that says, you know, whatever it is, and I'll use the dogs again for lack of creativity here this afternoon. I've got this carpet. Well, what is it about the carpet that you don't like? Well, I've got the dogs and they're getting older and they're having accidents. So I'm looking for something that'll withstand that. And in your mind, you're like, oh, bing, I've got this beautiful Cali floor that it's going to look wonderful in here, and the dogs have no problem. And now you start asking them questions. Well, have you thought about an LVP? I've got a waterproof floor that you're going to absolutely love. And now all of a sudden you've turned into selling instead of gathering information. Okay, all that's going to come out when we get to step 6, but it needs to be done in the right order, because what will end up happening is you'll start pre-selling this material, and you're stealing all your thunder by the time you get to step 6. This is the time to, the only reason your mouth is moving is to ask questions. Otherwise, use your ears and gather information. Okay. Step 2 is about gathering information, understanding what it is that the customer wants. Let them tell their story. It'll be your turn to tell your story in a few minutes. Okay. Now, let's fast forward. Step 6. When I get to step 6, and it's be good if I could write. I chose this product for you because you said. Okay? What's that look like? I chose this product for you because you said that you were looking for a hardwood that was dark, that had a scraped texture, and that had more of a wider plank. So I'm telling the customer, I'm just giving the words back to the customer. I chose this for you because you said. If I start my product presentation with that phrase, I can't go wrong. Now, that doesn't mean I picked the perfect board, because maybe they don't like the color, maybe they don't like that much texture or whatever. But now it's not that you went out to the van and you picked the product that was going to give you the highest commission. you pick what you want to sell. No, you've picked what you picked from the van because you are meeting the customer's explicit stated needs. You heard what the customer said, and this is another one of those things that you don't have to say this phrase. It's not like this is key to the system or whatever else, but this is a good checkpoint. If you can't deliver this line to the customer, if you can't say, I chose this for you because you said, well, then you might double check whether or not you picked a product for the customer or you picked a product that you like for whatever reason. Okay. All right. Let's look at carpet. Because now we will get different words. What are some of the characteristics that you might ask a customer about for carpet?
Do you mind footprints?
Length.
Pattern versus solid.
Okay, what else?
Loop versus cut. Maybe.
Color.
Color.
Height of the cut of carpet.
Durability.
Okay. So Lisa, when you say durability, are there specific carpet fabs that might give you more durability?
Well, I would like something that would maybe repel water,
Okay.
and blood stains, that kind of durability.
So R2X, it would be
Okay.
something you would recommend there.
Right, so in the back
Lifeguard.
of my mind, I might be thinking about R2X, I might be thinking about Lifeguard, I might be thinking about Color Guard, right? I might be thinking about Softback, depending on what it is that the customer's dealing with. They're not gonna ask for those things, and I'm not gonna say them right now. So this is another one. You know, like Lisa says, I want something that's gonna resist water and whatever else. Okay, and now my initial reaction is, I wanna flutter with all this technical knowledge about R2X and what a wonderful thing Lifeguard is. And it's not the time for that yet. Just absorb the information. Hold on to it, put it in a little pocket, and hold on to it because that's gonna come, okay? All right, what else can we ask about carpet?
Patty?
Yep, so padding, that gets into a whole other conversation, right?
What about
Okay.
seeing 12-foot versus 15-foot?
Potentially, right? So seams, that's tricky because I don't this is another one of those places that I can easily get myself bound up in a corner. So I have a 14-foot room and I'm talking about seams and the customer says, yeah, I don't want to do any seams in this room. So I say, great, that's wonderful because I've got 15-foot wide carpets. But then I go out to the van and realize I only have a handful of 15-foot wide carpets, and if they don't like those, I'm dead. So seams and the width of the carpet, does it come in 12 foot? Does it come in 15 foot? If it just so happens that I can do the room without a seam, that might be something I mention later, but I may not ask that question right now.
You could ask what, well, I mean, I guess you would have asked in the previous questions what they're going to be using the room for.
Okay.
Like
Expand on that though.
how high traffic it is. So
Traffic, see, that's different.
how much
right?
traffic is going through the room?
Yep, good.
And if they did mention something about seams, you could ask them, okay, well, are you going to have furniture in here, like a bed or a dresser or a couch? Then you could maybe strategically talk to them about hiding the seam if you wanted to give them more options.
That's getting into some really technical details. Not wrong.
Arlen, would it be worth asking, or maybe you should have asked in the beginning, like how long, since they have different 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, is that worth it?
Like, how long do you want this carpet to last? Yeah, absolutely.
What's the
How about
maintenance,
vacuum lines?
cleaning ease?
Sorry, Keith? Sorry,
Cleaning
Keith?
ease, cleaning ease or maintenance?
Yep,
So it's
how's
easy
it gonna
to
be
clean?
cleaned? Okay,
I said vacuum lines if you want a pattern, like when you vacuum, if you want the W.
2 C's or 1 C? VAC with a period, that's what it is, vacuum lines.
Hey, Arlen, what are your thoughts on, at this point, when we're talking carpet, I'll often say, let me ask you this question to get the last bit of direction from you. Our carpet comes really in 4 different price categories, from above a builder grade to luxury. So what are you thinking you would like me to bring in? And if they say to me, we're looking for the lowest cost option we can get, I'm not going to start bringing in any PG5s, or I might not even bring in a PG3. But how do you feel about asking that question? Because I always get an answer.
So here's the difficulty with that question, and I'm not opposed to that question. Let me start with that. I'm not opposed to that question. But asking that question takes a certain amount of experience in sales to be able to handle what happens next. And so that's a question that I would typically reserve. Like if I'm training my DAs, I'm probably not going to coach them to ask a question like that until they've been in the field for a couple of years. And the reason that I say that is, if in step 2, I'm already opening the door, because that's what I'm doing. I'm opening the door to price discussions. Then when I get into step 6 and I'm showing them, hey, here's this carpet, here's this carpet, here's this carpet, I have already given the customer permission to ask me, well, how much is that? How much is that? How much is that? And I'm not willing to have that discussion until I get to step 8. So by opening the door to price discussions early, you open yourself up to the possibility of the customer asking about price, and you've got to be good enough to be able to hold off on that question until you get towards the end. And what I find is typically with people that don't have a lot of experience in sales, you open the door to price, and then when the customer says, well, how much is that a square yard? They don't know how to not answer the question, and instead they start scrambling for, well, this is $32 a square yard, this is $26 a square yard, this is this, and end up going down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
So just be careful. Opening the door to discussions around price can be really, really tricky. Okay, what else could we ask the customer about carpet? I think that's a good list. We'll start with that.
Arlen,
Yeah.
if I may, could I please, could you please explain a bit more what the length of life implies for a carpet and what sort of answers we could get when we ask that?
Yeah, so you might ask, how long are you planning on staying in the house? Or if maybe the customer told you in the warm-up that they're only going to be in this house for another couple of years. Okay, well then you might ask them, are you looking for a carpet that's going to have a 50-year life, or are you looking for a carpet that's got a 10-year life, right?
Thank you.
And so the idea is what level of durability are you looking for? Some people will want to just replace the carpet right before they move, but they want something cheap that looks good so that they can get the house sold. Okay, solid versus I'm purposely trying not to use the technical term. So solid versus speckled. All right. So are you looking for a carpet that's just a solid color? Or are you looking for a carpet that's got, speckles in it, all sorts of different colors in it?
The tonal? Is that what you mean by speckles? Okay.
Well, tonal or accent. Okay. Accent tends to bring more browns and blacks. Tonal tends to just be colors that are closer to the color of the solid carpet. So tonal takes solid is solid, and then tonal goes a little bit further, and then accent goes even further than that.
Okay.
But to not use a technical term, Do you want a solid color carpet, or you want a carpet that's got some speckles in it? I don't know. You make up your own word. All right, so again, this is one of those things where I don't want to ask too many questions. So what might I ask? I might ask the customer if they're looking for a pattern or solid. Are they looking for, you know, if they are, is it a solid color, or do you want some speckles in it? You know, I might ask, I certainly am going to ask them about color. What else? Maybe I can get one more question in.
Tile height. Are you looking for something that's a flatter surface, or do you want this to be really plush?
Yeah, okay. I like that one. All right,
Some-
good.
Sometimes
I
they
ask-
know, sometimes they know what they want the carpet fibers to be made of. Like,
Oh, we missed
they'll say-
material.
they say, I want wool because it's natural, it's environmentally friendly, or something like that.
Good. All right. And if they say they specifically want wool, okay, good. Then I'm going to go get wool. No problem. Right. Most of the time, you're right. If they want wool, they know what they want. Most of the time, people don't know the difference between nylon and polyester. And I mean, it is what it is. That typically doesn't sell the carpet anyway. You know what people do care about? These are the top things that people care about when they're selecting their floor. How does it look? How does it feel? How long is it going to last? And how do I keep it clean? Those are really the four things that people are concerned about. I want a floor that looks the way I want it to look. I want it to feel the way I want it to feel. I want it to last as long as I want it to last. And I want something that's going to be easy to clean. Those are the four things that people really, and then of course, then, you know, down the road you get into price and whatever. This is ultimately what you're trying to accomplish.
Arlen, I have a question. Most of my competitors in the company I came with, we don't call it Fleck, we called it Frise carpet. Is there a reason why we don't use that term?
So I'm trying to keep stuff simple as possible for right now.
I only offer, Arlen, if somebody says I want a Frise carpet, I was just offering it so people know what they're talking about.
Sure. But what you're going to find is in the flooring industry, there's a lot of words that get thrown out, and depending on who's saying the word, people will mean different things. So frise for one company means that it's speckled looking. Frise for another company means that it looks more like a shag carpet. It's long and it's shaggy. And so one of the problems in this industry as a whole is that the vocabulary is not consistent from one part of the country to another and from one company to another. And so I try to stay away from words that that have multiple meanings, if that makes sense. Okay. So those are the four things. Now, when I get to, so we did it for hardwood and LVP and laminate. So now for carpet, how would you present carpet to a customer when you get to step 6?
Same. I chose this carpet for you because you said you wanted high durability, blah, blah, blah.
Yep, that's it. I chose this for you because you said, right? And then you can take the board, I'll get a carpet board. Then you can take the board and show the back of the board to them and say, is there a color that would be perfect for your space? And just let them pick the color, right? And then, yeah, you can have the little tools like the little black L's You know, you can have all the little tools to help them pick the color and move it around the room and do everything you can do to help them pick the color. But if you tell them, I chose this for you because you said this, then at least they know that you heard them and that you're trying to solve the problem for them. If that board doesn't have the right color on it, okay, no problem. I'll go get another board that still does what you wanted it to do, and then we go from there. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, good. All right. Let's see. What's Brett doing?
He had to step away.
Got it. Okay.
So
Go ahead,
basically,
Billy.
Arlen, if you were being completely transparent with the customer, you would just say, I chose this for you because back in step 2, this is what you told me.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. I chose this for you because these are the words that you used. I chose this for you. And here's the thing, have some fun with this, right? Let's say you're talking to somebody and you're having a good time with them and they say, I don't want any stinking dark colored carpet in here. Okay. So you pull the board out and you say, I chose this board for you because you said you didn't want any stinking dark carpet in here. So I've got a board in here that's got a lot of light colors. Okay, look, if you use the customer's words, the exact words that the customer used, they know for a fact that you listen to them. My gosh, how many contractors don't listen to people? That's like 98% of the industry. Okay, so if you're communicating without saying, I'm listening to you, you don't have to say it. If you're using their words back to them, they know you listen to them. And that's all we're doing. I heard you, you had a problem, I came to solve this problem, and this is how you outline the problem, and this is my solution to that problem. Good. Okay. While we're here,
Arlen, may I ask you a question really quick on this kind of subject? So the 430 that I have today, which I'm sure I'll be leading, I was just looking at the notes on Salesforce, and it says match existing LVP and extend into stairs and hallway. So if that's a customer that specifically is looking for one product that we may or may not have, what would be the strategy if we don't have matching?
So if they say they want to match it, and we're going to make some assumptions here because you're going to have to verify this when you get to the house. But if they say that they want to match it, why do you think they want to match it?
They want a seamless look. They want it to, they like it. They enjoy what it looks like.
Okay, so normally somebody says, I want to match this because they want it to look like it's all one floor, right? They don't want to have one color here and a different color there. So they want it to match so it's all the same. Can you make it all the same?
Yes.
How can you make it all the same?
If I don't have something that matches, just measure everything and sell them something different.
That's right. Rip out what they've got.
Okay.
Rip out what they've got and put everything the same using something that you sell. And now it's 100% match, guaranteed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
thank you.
here's a great strategy. Option 1, I'm going to make sure that this matches 100%. And the way I'm going to do it is we're going to rip all that out and we're going to put it all the same. And you might not like that. You might not like the price of that. I'm going to show you that option just so that you can see what it would be. And then we can guarantee that this is all one look. Now, my second option might be, the reality is, depending on how old this floor is, most manufacturers discontinue 25 or 30% of their products every year. So the chances of, if this floor is more than a couple of years old, the chances of me being able to find this exact board, even if you have a box of it left and you have the serial numbers and everything on it, the chance of me being able to get this are pretty slim. So instead, we're going to find something that may not match it, but it complements it. Okay, and then we can find something that complements it, and that's another option.
Okay,
What
thank you.
I would hate to see you do is I would hate for you to say, well, I'm going to go do some research and I'm going to try to find this board, Because what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna waste the next 3 weeks looking for something. And 3 weeks from now, you're gonna have something that's close but not quite. And you go back to the house and realize, wait a minute, they've already done the project with somebody else.
Mm.
I mean, it's a waste of your time and it's a waste of the customer's time for you to go play fetch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is from a sequencing standpoint. Now, this is very different than a lot of other sales systems. So we've been talking about step 2 and step 6. So when I get to step 3 and I'm putting together options, step 3, I put together 3 options. I do my company story, I do my installation presentation, I get to product presentation. What am I going to present to the customer?
All of them.
Option one, the most
Start with
expensive one first.
Yeah.
I am going to
You're gonna
present
all of them.
option 1 and only option 1.
Ah,
So I am not giving them a good, better, best. I'm not giving them 3 options to choose from. I am showing them option 1 and option 1. So let's use April's example. So she's done the company story and now we're looking at option 1. And she says, okay, if we were to do the whole thing, what does this look like? Let's pick a product to do this with. Great. So here we go. Option 1, and I'm plowing forward with only option 1. Only option 1. By the way, how many boards did I bring in to represent option 1?
One.
3.
So option 1 probably had 3 or 4 boards. Right? So I'm not telling the customer you have to pick from this one board. The customer is picking from 3 or 4 boards, but all 3 or 4 of those boards are close enough in price that that's my option 1. Okay, that's where I'm going to be for option 1. Okay, option 2, how many boards do I have?
2,
Yeah, probably 2 to 3 boards. And option 3?
1.
1, at most 2. Because I'm trying to narrow down the number of decisions that the customer has to make. Okay? Now, I'll walk my way through this. In step 6, I only present option 1. Step 7, pre-close. Step 8, close. So when does option 2 come out?
If they
When they
don't
say
like
no.
option 1,
If they balk on the
So,
price.
They have a price objection on option 1.
When you've done
once you're-
when you've
Go
done
ahead,
the,
Aaron.
when you've done the, you've basically taken them through the poo-poo and the price and the payment and the interest, and they're still like, no, no, no. It's too much. It's too much.
Yep. I get to the walk of life. I get all the way down to that question number 3. How long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? And they look at me and they say, never. I'm simply never going to do that. Okay, good. Now, switch colors. Now that I've got my never, now I can simply go right back up here and grab option 2. I come back up here, option 2. And now I can move forward and do option 2. And if I show option 2 and they say, nope, never going to do it, now I can go back and get option 3. Okay? So that's fine. April's going to go. She's going to show this is what it means to rip all this stuff out and put all new stuff in. And it's going to be a $20,000 quote. And they're going to look at her and say, yeah, it's just really wasteful. I know that would make it look like it's all one floor, and I appreciate you doing that. But at the end of the day, we're just not going to spend that kind of money and throw all this stuff in the trash can. That's not going to happen. Now, they may not be that forthcoming in the beginning. She might have to work to get that answer. But then they give her that answer, and then she's going to say, okay, you know what? I got another option. I told you that I was going to price it up with finding something complimentary, so let's look at something complimentary. And she's got 2 or 3 boards already picked, and there's a color on here that I think will work with what you've got.
are you keeping the other boards outside the door? Where are
So
they?
normally, yeah, good question. Normally, you know, these boards go with me to the kitchen table. These boards might be sitting in the foyer, or who knows, they might be on the front porch.
Because I found that bringing all three in and by doing the one, the customer is like, looking over there like, okay, well, when are you going to show me the next one?
Yep. Yep, I want them out of sight and out of mind. So, I
Okay.
mean, if we're working in the kitchen or something and I can leave them in the foyer, but they're out of sight, out of mind, then so be it. I can leave them there. But it might be that I leave them on the front porch, leaned up against the, you know, right there beside the front door so that they're quick and easy to get to.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Arlen,
Yes,
Arlen, can I
Paul.
jump in? Yeah, so we have actually brought in option 1, 2, and 3 all the way into the kitchen. But we only show them option 1. And I'm amazed how often people don't even ask, well, what are those boards over there?
Yeah.
They don't even do it.
The reality is if they fall in love with something that you've shown them, they don't need to see the rest of it anyway, right?
Yes.
Now, Arlen,
Okay.
for April's situation, obviously she's gonna talk to them and find out, but what if they right off the bat are like, no, we don't want to extend it? Are you still gonna show that option, but then just not push as much, just see if you get the never right away?
And the reason that I'm going to show it, okay, the answer is yes. And the reason I'm going to show it is
Price
because
condition.
I know that there is no way that we're ever going to match this old floor. I know it.
Okay.
I know that we're not, and not only us. See, here's the beautiful thing. It's not that we can't do it. It's that nobody can do it. Right? I mean, unless this floor was put in, you know, 3 months ago, and the exact floor happens to be sitting on the shelf at Floor and Decor or something, even then, by the way, even then, it may not match perfectly because all of these floors are manufactured with with dye lots. And so it may, you know, you think of dye lots for carpet. By the way, if you don't know what a dye lot is, when carpet is dyed, they dye a batch of carpet, and you know, this is color, what is it? This is color Silver Dolphin. Okay, so there's your color Silver Dolphin. All right, well then 2 months later, they make the same color again, and they make Silver Dolphin. But if you take some of the one from before and some after, especially if somebody is really, really color sensitive, you can see the difference between the different dye lots. The color is really, really, really close, but it's not exact, okay? LVP, made in dye lots. Laminate, made in dye lots. Hardwood is stained in dye lots. Now, you have a lot of color variation in hardwood, so you don't see the dye lot issue as bad with hardwood, but you have dye lots with pre-finished hardwood too. So it's important, if the customer had a floor that was put in 3 months ago, there's a really, really good chance that even if you got exactly the same thing, it's still not going to be right because it's a different dye lot. I know this was not one of my showers. This was not one of my jobs, but one of my tile installers, you know, obviously these guys install for other people too, had to rip out a shower that he put in because he got tile, and the tile that he got was from 2 different dye lots, and when it went up on the shower wall, he didn't see it until all the lights and everything got turned back on, and then you could see really, really distinctly the different dye lots on the wall, and it was horrible. It all had to come back off the wall again. Okay, good. All right, so let's see where we are on time. I think we can do this. Okay, I'm going to shift gears completely, and we're going to go into some technical discussion. And Jeffrey, this should, I hope, answer your question from yesterday about Salesforce and the flow between Salesforce and the tablet and that sort of thing. Let's get a blank sheet.
Arlen, can we
Yes.
take a short break sometime soon?
Sure. Yeah. Let's keep it short, like 5-7 minutes.
Mhm.
Just do a quick bathroom break, and then we'll come back and finish this up with this technical discussion.
Thanks.
Good call. if you're back, go ahead and open your cameras back up. And I'll try to keep this as light as I can, but I do want to dive in a little bit to you know, what belongs in Salesforce, what belongs in the tablet, and kind of managing data between the two. And so this is going to get to be a little bit technical here. So in Salesforce, the whole process starts in Salesforce. And so for the purpose of what we're talking about here, Salesforce, when I say Salesforce, I mean you're on your laptop, you're on your computer, not your tablet. So Salesforce I'm specifically talking about being on the computer, which means I'm not talking about being in Salesforce mobile. So I'm not talking about what do I, you know, Salesforce on the phone. So specifically Salesforce on your computer. So this is where the process starts. A lead comes in. Now, that lead might have come in from one of the lead aggregators, like a Home Advisor, Angie's List, whatever. It might have come in that way. It might have come in from the website. So somebody goes to the website and they put their information in, and now you've got a lead in Salesforce. It might be that you keyed the lead in, okay? And everybody has the ability to key the leads in. On your home page in Salesforce, franchise owners actually have a button that says New Lead. DAs on the Design Associate app page, there's not a button that says New Lead, but there's a plus button, and if you click on the plus button, you've got a drop down, and one of the options in the drop down is New Lead. So everybody has the ability to do it. It just looks a little bit different for the DA view versus the franchise owner view. But you go up and you either click the plus and hit New Lead, or you hit the New Lead button and you can type in a new lead. Okay, great. That has to be done in Salesforce. There is no way currently, maybe this will change in the future, but as of today, there is no way to create a new lead in the tablet. So this has to be done in Salesforce. Okay. Now, from the lead, I'm going to create a customer. And I'm going to create that project. So I'm going to go to the lead, and I'm going to go over to where it says schedule. And if I have hours set up and everything, I can use a smart scheduling button, and it's going to do a bunch of things at once. It's going to give me a project. It's going to give me a customer. It's going to allow me to put an appointment directly on the calendar. And so that smart scheduling button is a really, really cool trick to use to just do a bunch of stuff at one time. If you don't have, like my new franchise owners on here, don't have their hours set up yet, so you don't have time on your calendar yet for the smart scheduling to be able to see it. Okay, no problem. You can still create a project, and when you create the project, Salesforce is going to automatically create a customer record. It's going to create the project record. It's also going to create a contact for that customer. So you do this part, and Salesforce does these two things in the background. Okay. Questions so far? Everybody's happy so far? All right. Now, if I used smart scheduling, then I already have an appointment on my calendar. If I did not use smart scheduling, I can go to my calendar. And again, this is in Salesforce. I can go to my calendar and I can simply click on a time. So I click on Thursday at 3 o'clock. And when I click on Thursday at 3 p.m., I create an appointment. And this is going to be an in-home consultation. Good. So I go to my calendar in Salesforce. I click anywhere in the calendar, and I create what's called an in-home consultation, basically an appointment. I put in all the details. It's going to ask me for the customer name, the project number, you know, when does it start, when does it end, all that good stuff. I plug all that in, and boom, now I've got something on my calendar. Okay, I have an actual appointment this in-home consultation, this is my appointment. Appoint today. Okay. Now, for the sake of this discussion and to make things easier for us to track for today, I'm going to call this appointment number 1. Okay. So I have an appointment and it shows up on my Salesforce calendar. We good so far? Okay. Now, from here, I'm going to go to my tablet. And I'm going to sync all. When I hit the sync all button, this appointment drops down to the tablet. And so now when I'm looking at the screen on my tablet that has the dates across the top, the calendar screen on the tablet, I look at Thursday's date, and I look at 3 p.m., and sure enough, appointment number 1 is sitting right there on my tablet. Okay? So now Thursday comes. I'm at the customer's house. Now we're on Thursday. I'm at the customer's house. I pull up this appointment number 1. And I've written 3 options. And I've done everything, and despite all of my efforts, I don't land the sale. Okay, it happens. I'm going to mark this appointment as demo. Okay, what does demo mean? So at the end, when you get to the end of an appointment, it's really important that you don't leave appointments sitting in the appointment started status. So at this point, when I open up this appointment, it's going to say appointment started. All right, so that's my status. When I get to the end of the appointment, I need to mark it as something. Well, you have 4 options. You have demo, you have no demo, you have reset, and no C. All right. Demo means that I showed the customer a price. Pure and simple. It doesn't mean that I did an actual demo for the customer, whatever. If I walked in the door and I was there 5 minutes, but I showed the customer a price, that's a demo. Okay, I showed the customer a price. No demo and reset, there's some argument about, you'll have an internal struggle about what to mark something around these. But no demo basically means I did not show the customer a price. Reset means that I need to reset the appointment. And you can decide locally how you want to split the two, how do you want to split those two. Now, I will tell you this. These statuses do not do anything automatically. So let me repeat that. If you mark something as reset, Salesforce does not automatically reset the appointment. This status is purely for statistics. It's only for reporting. It is not going to flag something in Salesforce, oh, here's a list of appointments that need to be reset. No, it's not smart. There's no logic behind these 4. It is purely for reporting purposes. Okay? No C means that I did not see the customer. I walked up, I knocked on the door, whatever. I did not give the customer a price, and I never want to go back there again. All right, so why would that be the case? I mean, I don't ever want to go back there for this project. So I show up at the house and the customer says, I thought you guys do tile. Yes, we do tile. Well, I want one of those fancy tile roofs, you know, like the Spanish tile roofs. And you're like, yeah, that's not tile. That's roofing material. That's not our job. Okay. So no C means we're done with this appointment. We're done with this customer, or at least for this project, we're done with this. Okay. All right. So I've run appointment number 1. I've marked it as demo. And what do? I hit sync all. And now all of that data goes back up to Salesforce. So now if I'm in Salesforce, if I pull up that customer, if I pull up that project, I can see all the options that were done. I can see my drawing. I can see pictures that I took. Everything that was in the data from the tablet has now been transferred to Salesforce. Okay? So everything's there. By the way, I can edit it in Salesforce. If I want to, you know, there's some things that I personally find are actually easier to edit in Salesforce. I can change the quantities and I can do some stuff and whatever else. And so it gives me the opportunity to change some things in Salesforce if I want to. And now let's say that I've made some edits in Salesforce. Okay. So let me just ask you guys this question. Logically speaking, if I have edited it in Salesforce, if I've done this, does this appointment on the tablet know anything about those edits?
Nope.
No.
Not until you
No,
sync.
it doesn't.
No.
Oh, let's just think.
No, okay. Now, okay, maybe I've got other appointments happening. I've got other things in life happening. I've hit the sync button. I've hit the sync button. I've hit the sync button. So I've hit the sync button. Does this appointment know anything about these edits?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay. So how do I get these edits to get back to the tablet? Well, I can do it one of 2 ways. I can either, so here's an option, or I can either create a new appointment, so this is going to be appointment number 2, same customer, same project number, okay, same customer, same project, but I've created another appointment. Okay, now when I sync, all of this data now goes back down to the tablet. So if I'm in the tablet, the data, this in green, the data that's in appointment number 1 and the data that's in appointment number 2 might be a little bit different because appointment number 2 has picked up the edits that I made. Okay? I said there was an option here, or. There's another way to do this. Or, on the tablet, I can create what's called an ongoing work appointment. And if I create an ongoing work appointment, it's going to do the same thing. It's still going to pull the data from this appointment, from whatever edits I made, and it'll pull it down here. So what is the difference between doing it as an appointment number 2 versus doing it as an ongoing work appointment? Anybody know?
Well, eventually
right.
you're going to have to close that appointment number 2. An ongoing work appointment, you don't have to close it.
You still have to close it. You still have to mark it as demo. You still have to close it. The only difference between appointment number 2 and an ongoing work appointment, the only difference, because I set this up as an appointment in Salesforce, appointment number 2 blocks time on your calendar.
Oh.
An ongoing work appointment does not block time. All right, so when would I use one versus the other? Well, if I'm going to go back to the customer's house and I'm supposed to go see them now Friday at 3 o'clock, Well, then I want to block that time off on my calendar because I'm going to see the customer at a particular time. But if I'm just sitting in the office and I want to work on this proposal, I don't need to block any time off. I just want to create an ongoing work appointment so that I can work on it. And then mark it as demo and sync it back up again. So once I've done whatever I'm going to do with this appointment, and I sync again, now once again, it pushes all this data back up to Salesforce. Okay? So, beautiful thing about this, really, really beautiful thing about this flow. I know this is going to be hard to see without all this. But the neat thing about this is I can run an appointment. Once I've run the appointment, I can sync it up to Salesforce. I can create another appointment, do some more work. I can come back to Salesforce. I can go back and forth between the tablet. Okay, but I have to be careful. Any guesses? Let's say I'm all the way over here, right? I've gotten all the way over into Salesforce. What do you think happens if I go into my tablet now and I go back to appointment 1 and I start messing around with appointment 1? What do you think is going to happen?
Good mess of data on it.
You're gonna overwrite appointment 2?
Right. So if I go back here and start playing with this one, when I sync again, the data from here is going to now overwrite what's in Salesforce. So as a best practice, once you've closed an appointment, never open that appointment again. Okay? If you want to work on it again, that's great. You can work on it in Salesforce, or you could create an ongoing work appointment, and you can work on it again, and you can sync it up and down and up and down. You can go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down as many times as you want to, but you do not want to go back into an appointment that you've already closed. Okay, that's the general rule of thumb. Never go back into an appointment that you've already closed. Now, here's something that's really kind of neat, okay? And this takes a little bit of, let's say, a little bit of coordination, but man, this would be really, really cool, okay?
Hey, Arlen, can I ask you a quick question, though?
Yep.
So but if you're going back to the customer, so you did all your work in the Salesforce and ongoing work appointment, you're going back to the customer, you'd still want to set up at that point kind of a final appointment to go through the final thing with the customer, correct? Or can you do that right off the work appointment?
Well, you could do either one, okay? The only difference between these two is that one of them blocks time on your calendar and the other one doesn't.
Got it. Okay.
Technically, they're exactly the same apart from what happens on the calendar. So if I'm going to go back to the customer and I'm going to reserve time on my calendar to do it, then I'm going to create another appointment.
Okay.
But maybe the customer says, hey, we're going to be home all afternoon, Saturday afternoon, just drive by when it's convenient for you. I might not block my calendar off. I might try to get another appointment. And then you know, when I'm done for the afternoon, then I'm going to go back to the customer and deal with what I'm going to do. Okay.
Hey, Arlen, by doing that way as a continuing work appointment, it won't also affect your closing ratios that you want to examine. So if you keep creating new appointments, isn't that just going to drag your closing ratio down?
No, the system's smart enough to know that you're going back to the same customer. It doesn't affect your close rate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is where this whole idea of going up and down, up and down, up and down, let me share with you where this could be. You have to manage it, and you have to be careful not to go back into the old appointment, but this is where this could be really, really cool, right? So let's say Alana, I'll use you as an example if you don't mind. Alana is out there, she's running an appointment, she's got this, but you know what, there's something that's complicated, and I don't quite understand how to deal with this. Okay. You could close the appointment. You're still at the customer's, maybe you're sitting out in the van. You're at the customer's house. You close the appointment and you sync the tablet. And you call Mark and you say, Mark, would you look at this for me, please? Mark could go into Salesforce. He could not only look at it, but he could make edits. And then when he's done editing it, he could say, okay, I'm done with this. You could then, right there from the tablet, create an ongoing work appointment, pull down all the edits that he just made, and then go
My
into the
pleasure, guys, my pleasure. Anytime you guys are over this side of town, let me know.
And Arlen, there's a lot of background noise.
Do
Is
we need people to mute, please?
Arlen, is that true? If we call, let's say, to Ron and we're up and running and we want him to pull in and take a look at an appointment and see what we could do or tweak and go back in, same thing would apply. He'd have access, right? Or
Yes, that is technically true. I will tell you that Ron and I get a little bit squirrely about playing with data in your Salesforce. I mean, it's technically 100% possible. I'd hate for you to come back to me later and say, well, you cost me 6 points of margin because of these edits you made, right? So I get a little bit leery about stuff like that, but technically you're 100% correct. You could be at a house and say, would you look at this? I can look at it, boom, make whatever changes need to be made and send it back to you.
more importantly, you could see it and say, look, I think you're high on this,
Yep.
just that. And I could
Yep.
manage to do it, but that he'd be able to see it real time.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
May I-
Absolutely.
May I say something, please?
Yeah, Paul.
We have tried that. Eric and I have tried that, and he says it only works if you sync it. So I'd have to sync before he could see it.
That's correct. You have to sync.
Oh, okay, I apologize. I missed
Yep,
that.
you have to sync. So
All right.
you're at the customer's house and you're running the appointment. You have to mark it as demo. You have to close the appointment. You have to close it and sync. Then Eric could make whatever options, edits he needed to make. And then you would have to create an ongoing work appointment and sync the tablet again to pull that back down. So you're here, you sync everything up, Eric makes his changes, and then you sync it back down. But you don't go back into this one again. Now you're going into this one.
All right, thanks for explaining that for the second time. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. This is something that, I mean, the technology works. The technology was built to work forward. It doesn't work well going backwards.
Arlen, I have a question. I'm in training mode. And the only way I can mark it demo or whatever, I have to hit the back button all the way to the front of the appointment. When I'm in the regular mode, will allow me just to, when I finish the appointment, does that come up next? You always have to go all the way back to the front to mark it demoed.
No, actually, most of the, even while you're training, you go all the way to the end and mark it demo, not to the beginning. You all go all the way to the end and mark it demo.
Okay. I'll have to look at the update on my tablet because right now the only way to do it is to go all the way back to the front where it actually asks the question, did I demo it? Did I, what happened?
So let's see. Just a second here. Happens when I try to squeeze it in. That's okay. We're doing good. Share the tablet. So this is a training task. Improve it by going back and back and back. Yeah. Back. I go all
Yeah,
the way
mine is
back.
in training mode and it does it at the end.
All right, so I'll show you, this is still a training task, no problem with that, okay? And I've created I created a drawing, I created some options here that I was gonna play with, I went through the presentation. I get all the way to the end, so here, pick an option, I don't care which one, open the price and payment sheet, and then I'm gonna hit the button at the bottom that says continue to proposal. I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom of this and hit the other button that says continue to proposal. And then I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of this. And now at the bottom right-hand side, it says complete appointment. So this is still training. I hit the complete appointment button, and this is going to give me that box that says, do you want to reset, demo, no see? And I'm just going to mark it as demo and be done with it. And now you'll see on the front page, now it says it's a demo.
Perfect. I didn't see that button, so thank you.
Okay.
When you hit demo, is that the only one that closes out the appointment?
No, all four of them will close it. All four of them will close it.
Okay.
Can you show the ongoing appointment, how to create that?
Sure. From this screen, you see the three little lines in the top left, that little menu. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to hit search customer. And yeah, it wants to sync, that's fine. I'm gonna hit the check mark, and so I'm gonna search for a customer, okay? And I've got several training customers out there, so I'm just gonna search for one of them. All right, so let's just say that I'm gonna pick this first one, this Scott, Arlen, TVZ, whatever, right? These are a bunch of training customers, that's fine. So when I click on that customer name and I hit enter, sorry, I have to select the project and hit enter. Now you'll see that I have an issued lead, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side it says ongoing appointment. So it's that simple. I come up here, I click on search customer, I find the customer that I'm interested in, and once I click on that customer, it automatically pulls down all the data from that. Now you have to be connected to Wi-Fi to do this, okay? Because you are talking to Salesforce, so your tablet has to be connected either through a hotspot on your phone or Wi-Fi or whatever. But it's a really, really convenient way of just creating it. And you'll notice the start and finish time, 3:56 p.m. to 3:56 p.m. It is not blocking time on the schedule at all. Okay. All right, good. Let's wrap it here for today. I do want to give you guys the opportunity to get something to eat again or get something to drink, whatever you need to do before you run off and run an appointment and land sales, and who knows what all you're going to do this afternoon. We'll have a good time tomorrow. We will pick back up tomorrow morning again at 11 o'clock. Tomorrow at, I think it's 2:30, Mary Ann Murphy is going to join us. She wanted to spend some time getting to know this class, so we will be together. We'll do lunch before that, and then when 2:30 hits, Mary Ann is just going to automatically pop in on us, and I'm going to give her some time to spend with you guys tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be really good. You'll like working with Mary Ann. If you've never met her, she's a bundle of joy, I guarantee it. All right, good stuff, guys. I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Arlen.
Arlen.
Good, thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Arlen.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Arlen.
Johnny.
Thanks,
Thank
Alan.
you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Arlen, do you have a minute for a call?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll call you.